Next on Saratoga Live, Mom's on Strike tries to deliver another win to one of the hottest barns of the Saratoga meets. That is coming up in the Way Up. Could Meade emerge as a rising star in the Saratoga Special after an impressive debut victory at Belmont? The son of a Kentucky Derby winner looks for his first stakes victory. Tight 10 could be Meade's main threat. He overcame an eventful stretch run to power home by more than 4 lengths clear of his competition in his debut effort. And we'll look back at Saturday's incredible 4-star day performance from former claimer turned Grade 1 winner Voodoo Song, who's becoming a modern-day version of the Sultan of Saratoga. All that and more coming up on this Sunday edition of Saratoga Live, presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually, well, beautiful Sunday afternoon here at the premier race meet in the entire country. Welcome to Saratoga Springs, New York. Great to have you with us, and a good crowd on hand as 2-year-olds take center stage, and you never know, maybe we're looking at next year's favorite come Kentucky Derby time. Welcome, I'm Greg Wolf alongside one of the top trainers in the country in Tom Amos. Lightly raced field, of course, who's going to rise as a star now as a 2-year-old. We have a horse coming in from Delaware for trainer Jason Service, who was touted first time out and could be very good.
No, Call Paul, you're talking about Call Paul, the 2-horse in this race, a dominant winner first time out at Delaware Park. Did everything right, was bet on hard that day. You're looking at a 3-to-5 shot here in Call Paul. Look at the separation between the second-place horse and the third-place horse, and that tells you all you need to know about how dominant Call Paul was this day.
Battled all the way on the lead, too, with his other horse, and then put that one away, and it was, as you mentioned, a mile back to the rest of that field. So that was at Delaware. Now comes graded stakes test here at Saratoga. Is he up to the challenge? That is our feature race, the 8th today, the Grade 2 Saratoga Special. You can get signed up, started, play along, and bet all the action today and every day by going to NYRABets.com. $200 new member sign-up bonus. Use the promo code Saratoga Live and bet any track, anytime, anywhere. Download the NYRABets app or go to NYRABets.com. Let's check in with the rest of our crew now downstairs by the paddock. New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, former New York Met and LA Dodger Paul LaDuca.
Thanks a lot, Greg. It's nice to have you back, Paul. Missed you yesterday. Obviously, the Way is a much different race coming off the grass, and Mom's on Strike is the one horse that has dirt form. But it's a mile and a quarter in the dirt, and a horse like Lottie, I like to see Grand Motion taking a shot. Why not? It's a 4-horse field. She's never been in the dirt. At least she's an arch, and who knows? Maybe the distance could be the equalizing factor.
Yeah, it could be. It's very interesting for a 5-year-old mare, to me, that hasn't run on the dirt ever before, with a pedigree that's sort of a swing pedigree. Arch can run on both, and Smart Strike. Now, Apple Charlotte de Dam was a good runner on the grass. That's maybe why. So they're going to try the dirt for the first time. And the issue with her is she can't seal the deal really on the turf. She seems like she runs the same race every time. Is that going to be the same case on the dirt?
Yeah, and listen, in general, I don't like turf horses and off-the-turf races. And the 5 is a likely winner, but it doesn't mean, Mom's on Strike obviously being the 5, it doesn't mean that Lottie couldn't surprise in here. I'll tell you somebody who constantly surprises me with her words. That's Maggie Wolfendale. She's in the paddock.
Well, thank you, Andy. As the Saratoga Special here is the race that we'll have on tap for those 2-year-olds. And Todd Pletcher, he is seeking his 29th graded stakes win for the juveniles here at the Spa, with 2 horses, the rail runner being Meade in here, as well as Spinoff. But Meade is a horse that fought off every challenger whilst winning his debut. You see a lot of the speed horses finishing far back, and he held off everybody to get the job done here. He's going to have to face all the other runners in this field who also broke their maidens first time out. And Todd said he has to break well from the rail. He was posted outside in his debut, and a lot of times you don't see them break as well when they're sitting in the gate the longest and down on that inside area, in which at 6.5 furlongs, there's a lot of empty space to run to. So we'll see. I'll be out on track and monitoring how Meade is and how he goes into the gate. But I know Gabby Gaudette, she's monitoring the crowd as she's sitting out in the picnic area. Hey, Gabby.
Hey, Maggie. Yes, I am. And even though we do have a couple of races that are off the turf, there is no rain on this parade. You can see behind me, people, it's very crowded out here at Saratoga because the sun is shining and it's a great day of racing. But I wanted to go back to tight 10 and talk about this contender in the Grade 2 Saratoga Special. Now, obviously, Todd Pletcher has a great record in this particular race, but Steve Asmussen sends out tight 10, and his 2-year-olds have been just absolutely running off the screen thus far this meet. This horse took a lot of early pressure, and not only that, he went very fast. At one stage of the race, it looked like he was going to lose by, or maybe even win by just a neck, but he went on to draw away from the field to win by almost 5 lengths. Now, coming down the stretch, he did hit that inside rail. Definitely a greenness issue, but there's no doubt about it. He definitely looks like he's got a lot of raw talent. But Greg, before I throw it back to you, so there are some really fun tablecloths out here, a lot of fun people. This tablecloth actually has Legos on it. And my question to you is, if you had a tablecloth, what would you want on it?
We're at Saratoga, so that's an easy answer, right? We're going to have Voodoo Song coming up later in the show. We're going to recap what he did in the 4-Star Dave. I'd put Voodoo Song all over my tablecloth.
Really? And here I am thinking it was going to be Manhattan straight up all across the tablecloth.
That's a good second choice, maybe. Today's race is coming up. We're going to start you off in race 7. It starts off the late pick 4 sequence. Off the turf, it's now 1 1/8 on the main track. Race 8. That is our 2-year-olds lining up in the Grade 2 Saratoga Special. Race 9, the Weah, off the turf, now at 1 1/4. And race 10, off the turf, now at 7 furlongs in that maiden special weight event. Even though we're off the grass, still a very competitive group we have coming up here in this pick 4 sequence. Very excited to see these 2-year-olds and who will shine in our feature race. Our weather and track conditions are brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray, the preferred fly spray of the Saratoga Racecourse. Piranha on, pests gone. Main track is fast. Turf, of course, as we mentioned, off all afternoon the rest of the way. Let's take a look at the field for race 7 here. So again, 1 1/8 now on the main track. Even money on Frosty Ann. Public going with a safe choice here. The main track only entrant, Tom.
Main track only. He's got a great win-to-loss ratio. 11 wins and 29 starts. If you want to poke holes in her, it could be that this distance now at 1 1/8 on the dirt might not be her best.
Comes in from Finger Lakes as well the last couple of starts, but she's proven she could win elsewhere as we get a look at her. And here's your late pick 4. Just $10.
Well, let's look at, I mean, we don't have much of a sequence. These are small fields. A good handicapper understands it's not wise to put up a lot of money when the fields are this small. But I do single down in the 9th race to a horse that I think can do it on the grass and on the dirt. And obviously that race now in the dirt, and that's Mom's on Strike.
All right, so very affordable pick 4 play there. Paul LaDuca, what'd you come up with?
Well, we're very similar, as the 2-5 in the first leg. If you look at race number 8, I liked actually 2, 3, 4, and 6. Race number 9, that's Lottie and Tricky Escape. That's actually supposed to be, that's a little mistake, supposed to be single to 5, Mom's on Strike. Then in race number 10, 9 and 11. So I might have wrote that in wrong, but the 5 is supposed to be single. I was trying to keep it very, very economical because it's not going to pay much today.
You know, Paul, 6 minus 1 is 5, so maybe that's what you were thinking.
Maybe that's what I was thinking. And my top pick in that race is the 9, yeah. So I actually
was wondering
that. That was my fault there.
I always took LaDuca for like a math genius, too. Whenever I have calculus issues, I always go to LaDuca.
Is that right?
Our feature race coming up. It's the Saratoga Special, and every day of the meet, Naira bets. You can place a $1 base trifecta on a selected stake and earn a 10% winner's bonus. Today's race is this Saratoga Special. Download the Naira Bets app, get your wager in, and get that 10% winner's bonus trifecta. We're going to take a break. Late pick 4 is coming up here on this beautiful Sunday afternoon here at Saratoga Springs. Stick with us. Post parade when we return.
Eclipse champion Blaine is having a breakout year in 2018. Among the nation's leading sires of stakes horses, his recent top runners include Fault, Maraude, Marley's Freedom, Beyond Blame, and Miss Kentucky. He's also making a name for himself internationally with French Classic winner Sengman. And with yearlings bringing up to $350,000, this 3-time Grade 1 winner offers outstanding value. Blaine, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
Dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Nyquist switches back to the outside. Exaggerator down to the 16th pole. But Exaggerator has turned the tables. He has won the Preakness. Nice has won the Travers over American Flag. Irish War Cry has won the Wood Memorial. Alice. Good Magic's gonna win his first race, and he's gonna do it in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
Back on Saratoga Live. This is a training track, basically just across the street. We call it the Oklahoma Training Track, and from dawn to dusk, that's what a day looks like here at Saratoga. We sped it up just a little bit.
Yeah, doesn't look like my day this morning, I can tell you that.
Uh-oh, did you have a bad day?
Well, long day.
All right. Well, we're just getting started. We're going to perk it up with this show here. Hopefully we can bring a few winners home for everybody. You can offer your handicapping expertise without risking any of your own money by going to the Saratoga Showdown online contest, playing for real prizes and a grand prize of a ticket package to next year's Belmont Stakes. Go to NYRA.com/showdown to get involved. Time for a Paddock Report. Now we're going to check in with Maggie Wolfadale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000. That man right there, Maggie, Junior Alvarado, had a nice day yesterday.
Yes, he did have a very nice day yesterday, winning on some pretty convincing winners, as he will be aboard here, Frosty Ann, and a lot of people are trying to get Frosty Ann home. Now, the 1 1/8 poses a question. In the most recent start going this distance, it was in a stake, albeit against New York breds, but the thing that's dangerous about her is her speed, obviously. Now, she's a little bit on her nerves here overall, but not as if she's expending too much energy. But overall, physically, she's just not built like a horse that wants to go 1 1/8. They can defy that logic all the time. But like I said, she's just shorter coupled. She's built downhill, and like I said, she's not going to be one that I recommend at 1 1/8, whereas number 6 is Maximus Beauty, who is making her first start here in New York for the very sharp Joe Sharp, as he will send out Moms on Strike a little bit later here. But this one, she looks like a 1 1/8 type, just very big, all legs, very lanky as well, and extremely fit in here. And she's shown enough versatility that she can run on either surface here, Greg. The only drawback, the front bandages do go on.
All right, so a little negative there with Maximus Beauty as we send it downstairs to Andy and Paul, and some negatives distance-wise here, guys, from the 4-5 favorite, the 5 Frosty Ann.
Well, that's really the question, Greg, and Paul and I were talking about it a bit off camera. She ran well enough at 1 1/8 miles back in January at Aqueduct to suggest she could beat this field, but I think it's a fair question. Possible only Achilles heel?
Yeah, it is, because Maximus Beauty's got races on the turf that can match her. Stefan, maybe she's getting a little bit better as she's getting older. And then you have Bella the Spa on the outside. You don't really know what you're getting with only one really dirt start. So, listen, the 5 has the advantage here because she's got 11 wins, Andy. Let's be honest. She likes to win races.
She also has the speed, and it's going to be tough for them to stay with her. Bella in the Spa, who's really the outsider here, could put some pressure on her. And if so, as you go to the 6 Maximus Beauty, that could help her. And Maximus Beauty is a horse that's run well enough in their dirt races to suggest that she's the probable likeliest winner if the favorite doesn't get the distance. And boy, as Maggie was alluding to, Joe Sharp, his horses have been running very well.
They really have. They've been running very well. And you know, you make a great point that she's been able to handle the distance going along on the turf. Can she do it going along on the dirt? And against this group, she probably could.
Greg, I hate to interrupt Sam the Bugler calling him the track. I know that's your favorite moment of every race.
Because it means we got to get our wagers in. We're getting close here. We get a good look at the horses, the post parade coming up, and then it's decision time. And we're going to see Stay Fawn. We got 2 main track onlys in this event coming up here, and there's a look at Stay Fawn. There's a rider change, by the way, in those red and white silks of Peter Casamillas. Abel Liscano will be on board. This horse had a nice win last time out, but it was a $25,000 claiming level, Tom. Won by 4 lengths.
Yeah, but he might possess the right style here, Greg. I mean, a lot of these horses in here, they're talking about possible speed. Look, it's not just Frosty Ann. I think Maximus Beauty, a horse they didn't really talk much about, could show some speed.
So 5-1. Here is Stefan Liscano aboard for Eduardo Jones.
Comes off a nice win last time out. She has the stamina, and if they get hot up front, she could pick up the pieces at a decent price.
Another main track only entrant, Frosty Ann, speedster for Rudy Rodriguez, coming in from Finger Lakes with Junior Alvarado.
And the Finger Lakes shippers have done well in this meet, and this mare is looking for 5 in a row. She does have a win over the Saratoga service.
Maximus Beauty, the 6, trained by Joe Sharp. He's having a sensational meet here at Saratoga.
I think the air must be a little bit thin on the roof if Tom Amoss thinks she can be part of the pace here.
Uh-oh. We're going to have a rebuttal here in a moment. Stand by. Belle of the Spa. It's not fair to do that when Tom can't have his rebuttal. Javier Castellano for Bruce Brown on Belle of the Spa here, daughter of Pure Prize.
I thought the sneaky horse of the group here at 3-1, and I think it's going to show more speed and might be the horse to catch.
Interesting. So it seems like you guys all over the place here in terms of pace in this race.
Yeah, so look, I mean, here's the case for Maximus Beauty, the 6 horse, showing speed today at Saratoga, going 2 turns. Her 1-turn race at Churchill, 2 back. She was very close to the pace. Her rider today, Adam Bechesna, is a guy that likes to be aggressive on horses out of the gate. What is the point of her laying back off of the most probable favorite right next to her in the gate, the 5-horse Frosty Ann?
I wanted to get back real quick, and we're going to bring Andy and Paul back in a moment, too. But let's go back to what Maggie was talking about with Maximus Beauty and those front wraps. Why is that a concern, Tom?
Well, I don't know, because it could possibly be that with the racetrack being as it was this morning, they're like, hey, this is the kind of track where we need to put 4 bandages on. They wouldn't be the first horse to do that, and they're not the only horse in the race today that's doing that. Belle of the Spa has got fronts on as well, the 9 horse, and that's a change for her. I think it has a lot to do with how much wetness and moisture we've gotten over this track over the last 3 weeks.
You know, Tom, I think that's obviously a great point about the moisture. As far as speed, I'm not saying Maximus Beauty is not going to be, close, relatively close. I think that anybody looking at this race has to say, the last thing I want to do is engage Frosty Ann. Because, get into a duel with her, get involved in the pace, because you have no chance if you do that. And frankly, it feels as though the 9, Belle of the Spa, is the likeliest secondary speed in this race. I think the Maximus Beauty sits 3rd in this race, not that far off it, 2-3 lengths off of it. I don't see her engaging, though, and frankly, the likelihood of beating Frosty Ann is only based on whether or not Frosty Ann can negotiate 1 1/8 miles. She is a better horse in the dirt, Frosty Ann.
What about this, too, in a compact field, though? Like, we only have 4 runners in the field, Tom. Sometime you can't let a horse completely get away from you and break contact, can you?
And that's a great point. I mean, Greg, here's the scenario. When you're in the paddock in a small field like this and the rider and the trainer are getting together, of course they're going to handicap the race. Of course they're going to talk strategy. And the most obvious thing for them to talk about is, hey, we cannot let this even money favorite, the 5-horse Frosty Ann, get on the lead by herself. And it's quite possible they could say, we beat her, we win the race, because these 2 horses do look like the best 2 horses in the race, Frosty Ann and Maximus Beauty, the 6.
I disagree. I just disagree because I think that the 9 Belle of the Spa is the second speed in this race, and I don't think the 6 has to worry about it. Once again, the 6 will sacrifice her chances if she's overly aggressive going after Frosty Ann.
Here's the thing. When you look at this race, every single one of these horses has tried to take a field gate to wire. The 2 has. The 2 has actually done it. That's actually how she broke her maiden. The 5 has, actually. Even the 6 tried to take a field gate to wire way back in November 2016, and obviously Belle of the Spa broke her maiden going gate to wire. So they've all changed their running styles. I don't see pace being an issue in this race at all in a 4-horse field. They're going to be bunched up, and whoever has the best late kick wins.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's going to become a rider's race. They often do, these short, compact fields. Even money right now, though. Public settling on Frosty Ann, who is, again, as Paul mentioned, reeled off 4 consecutive victories. Let's take a look at 4 starts back when the streak started. It was a stakes race at Aqueduct on March the 31st, going a mile.
So we're missing the beginning of this race, but the important thing to note is that she controls everything right out of the gate. Goes to the front, makes the lead, controls the pace, is able to hang on at the end. Oh, yeah. This is a 1-turn mile, a completely different race than what we're running today, going a 2-turn mile and an 1/8.
Tom, I think you're misjudging how much faster she is naturally early, just naturally than the other horse in the race. I think any horse that wants to try to keep up with her will really take themselves out of their running style. And to me, if I was in this race, and I don't disagree with Paul, I think the field would be relatively bunched, but I would be saying, I'm not going to sacrifice Speed Frosty Ann. I'm going to hope Frosty Ann gets late in this race and I run her down because she has trouble getting the mile and an 1/8. That would be my strategy, right or wrong.
So 4 to 5 on the one Andy believes is the speed of the speed here to kick off our late pick 4 sequence with more on the outside runner, Belle of the Spa. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
All this talk about strategy, you know, I wonder how many horses has Andy Serling ridden in his life. But talking about Belle of the Spa here, she's the filly that probably next to Frosty Ann has the most amount of natural speed. And she does have Javier Castellano in that he is very adept. And oftentimes, now I'm not saying that Andy's plan isn't a bad one, but also, Frosty Ann's going to be on the inside of Belle of the Spa. Belle of the Spa, therefore, I think is in a more advantageous, more comfortable stalking trip to her outside. And so if she can use a little bit of her natural speed, we'll see how it plays out on this main track. But I'm always willing to forgive a horse if their first start came on a surface in which they've only been on once. So getting back to it, she's obviously a horse that has improved on the turf. We'll see if that can carry her through a little bit on this surface switch back to the main track here. So an interesting horse that will sit in that stalking position, but I want to hear what Joe Sharp thinks as he is standing by with Gabby Gaudette as he'll send out Maximus Beauty.
That's right, Maggie. And Joe, we were talking about it a little bit. Maggie mentioned it, so did Tom Amoss, about putting front bandages on this horse for the first time today. Just as a horseman, what goes into the decision-making behind that change?
Well, as you know, she's always been, a big filly and covers a lot of ground. And New York surfaces tend to be a little bit deeper than we have in Kentucky. And just as a prevention to keep her from running down and, being off the turf is why we added them. On the turf, you would never see them. But, just as a precaution. And, we're pretty confident in our filly. And she trains in 4s every day, so not a concern.
Of course. And the added distance today, what do you think of that, at least going back to the dirt at a distance?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the question mark. I wish that it shortened up to 7/8, but, looks like Frosty Ann and ourselves will both be tested at the mile and 1/8, so I think we have as good a shot as any.
Quick thoughts on Moms on Strike. She started her career off on the dirt. Your thoughts on her today?
We're very confident in how she'll handle the dirt. She trains great on it, and, just hope there's enough pace scenario. That's what scares me the most in a small field.
She's a good horse on the turf and the dirt. Best of luck on this one.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Greg.
Joe Sharp, he has been absolutely lethal at this meet with everything he has sent out, winning at 40%. He sends out the 6, Maximus Beauty. As we see the 2 load up, Stay Fawn, but the odds on favor, there she is. Frosty Ann, the speed, the one to catch. 3-5. How big a lead will she get early on? The Big 4 starts right here. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
Frosty Ann just a bit reluctant to go into the starting gate here. And just went up in odds a bit from 3-5 to even money as the assistant starters work on her, and Junior Alvarado has dismounted. And it looks like she's going into the gate now. Junior Alvarado will get aboard in line as the other 2, Maximus Beauty and Belle of the Spa, will complete the field here. Belle of the Spa and Javier Castellano coming up to the outside stall to complete this quartet. And they're all in line. They're off. And it's a good start for Frosty Ann and Belle of the Spa. It's these 2 that go out to the lead together, and right behind them is Maximus Beauty, who will be 3rd in the initial stages here, and not far behind, just a length and a half off the lead, and they're 4.5 clear of Stay Fond, who's going to sit well off the pace as Frosty Ann kicks on. Frosty Ann the leader by a length and a half over Belle of the Spa, with Maximus Beauty keeping them company, 3rd on the inside, now 6 lengths ahead of the trailer Stay Fond onto the backstretch. 24:08 was the opening quarter mile. It's a solid pace. They're not flying, but Frosty Ann is in control up top with 6 furlongs to run. And 2 of them right behind her are Maximus Beauty and Belle of the Spa, and they're stride for stride, and Maximus Beauty now pokes her head up into 2nd. It's now 8 or 9 back to Stay Fond, who's last of this foursome that went 47.45 for a half mile. Junior Alvarado dictating the pace here with Frosty Ann. They're going to head to the half-mile pole with a 2-length lead. Maximus Beauty is 2nd. On the outside, Belle of the Spa 3rd. Now it's 10 lengths back to Stay Fond. Into the far turn, Frosty Ann in control here, leading it by 2. Maximus Beauty sticking close to her in 2nd, and starting to lose ground is Belle of the Spa in 3rd. Stay Fond has not been involved. 3/4, 111.9. They're coming toward the top of the stretch. And Frosty Ann has moved away by 4 now. Maximus Beauty is full out in 2nd, Belle of the Spa and Stay Fond, and they're into the stretch. They're coming to the 8th pole, and Junior Alvarado keeping Frosty Ann busy with a furlong to run. Maximus Beauty is 4 lengths behind her. And Belle of the Spa is trying to hold on for 3rd over Stay Fond as they come to the wire. Frosty Ann's done the job. Eased up by Junior Alvarado, won it by 4. It was Maximus Beauty 2nd, and Stay Fond got up for 3rd and won 50.81.
Well, Frosty Ann got to the front, and Junior Alvarado did not have to do much late. We say this on the show sometimes. They can all get the distance. You just have to get it faster than the other horses in the field.
And she got the first half mile very, very fast and really made the field have to play her game to keep within striking distance, and it ended up being the right way to ride Frosty Ann. When they turned for home, the only way she was going to lose is if she had to go around a few more times, because she was going to win when they went to the wire.
I agree, Tom. It felt like she was going stronger than the others behind her in the stretch. Yeah. She had no problem in the distance, and Tom's right. She bottomed the field out. She went too fast from early, and they couldn't pass her because they were tired from chasing her.
Yeah, when you saw Stay Fond not far back, the 2 was so far out of it, and you saw the 3 contenders showing in the backstretch, and she was doing it easily. And you know how many times you see these off-the-turf events, they really don't love to pass each other. But good job by Junior Alvarado, separate early.
Rudy Rodriguez, he's starting to be a regular contributor on the show of late. He's standing by with Gabby Gaudet.
A couple of high fives and hugs throughout with Rudy and Rudy Jr., but congratulations on this one. Were you doing a little bit of a rain dance last night? I think I saw you. Of course, it's Billy entered main track only.
I was. I was wearing. I checked in the racing office a couple of times if there was my phone. I checked. I hope they was taken off, and thank God they did. You know, She's just a good feeler right now, so we got to take a chance when they're doing good.
Of course, and talk about this race too. I mean, she is so naturally fast, but she just has a really amazing way that to go about her.
You know, in the morning when we claim him, we thought she was a sprinter, but then when we start galloping and she was so tough, I said maybe if we be able to relax and control the speed a little bit, she would be able to do good. And so far, I think we accomplished what we thought we could.
Absolutely. I believe that's 6 in a row for this filly. It definitely looks like you got something right, Rudy.
So once in a while, it's good, you know?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Greg, back to you.
All right, Gabby, thanks. Yeah, Frosty Ann actually makes it 5 in a row here, but that is quite a win streak that she has going and gets a little lucky, too, with the weather. Taking this race off the turf certainly helped her cause.
Yeah, a little luck never hurt anyone, particularly in horse racing. A great claim for $25,000 back in December. She has now had 5 wins since being claimed. That's how you play the claiming game.
And Rudy Rodriguez, he won the nightcap a couple of days ago, gets a victory here. Starting to heat up a little bit. And Frosty Ann, just too quick for this group, and in the end was bet all the way down to 3-5 at one point. Actually floated up a touch to go off at even money in here, but a heavy favorite. So Frosty Ann gets the job done. Our pick 4 underway with a very formful start here on this Sunday afternoon. Still to come, it is the Grade 2 Saratoga Special, and what 2-year-old will step up and stamp himself as a very, very, very early Triple Crown contender. We'll have that to come when we return on Saratoga Live. Welcome to Saratoga Live. Great to have you with us on a beautiful Sunday afternoon here in Saratoga Springs at the premier race meet in the entire country, Saratoga. We have 2-year-olds taking center stage here on the Sunday afternoon with a Grade 2 Saratoga Special coming up, and perhaps a look at some of the stars of next year's Triple Crown. Just recently, we've seen horses like Guinevere win this race. Would win the Fountain of Youth, was 3rd in the Travers last year. Exaggerator would go on to win the Preakness. Union Rags would go on to win the Belmont Stakes back in 2011. Greg Wolf alongside one of the top trainers in the country in Tom Amos. And everyone in this field coming off impressive performances, but it was their first performance yet. Now who's going to take that next step?
Well, oftentimes it's the horses that move forward from their first to second start, and they do. They all do, because that first start is an education for these horses. And so when you're trying to decipher who was the most impressive first time out, maybe they were the most learned, and one of these horses that just ran an okay race steps up now that he has the education of that first race.
We will see who can rise to the cream of the crop here in the Saratoga Special to come, a race that was first run all the way back in 1901. Get signed up, started, play along with Naira Betts. $200 new member bonus going on now. Use the promo code Saratoga Live to take advantage and bet any track, anywhere, anytime. You can download the Naira Betts app or go to nairabets.com. For those just joining us on Fox Sports 2, good to have you with us. We just ran race 7. It started off the late pick 4. And it was the main track only entrant. We're off the turf for all racing today. The 7th scheduled for the grass, but on the main track, Frosty Ann was too quick and too good.
She was too quick. She took it to him early in the race, and that's the result. No one can catch up.
Gets it done unpressured. Wins for trainer Rudy Rodriguez. Junior Alvarado in the irons for the victory. And Rudy Rodriguez owns part of this 5-year-old mare as well. Daughter of Frost Giant out of the Tocket mare at Lake Tocket. 5-6-2 finish and a formful beginning here. Most I would expect here still alive in this pick 4. And of course, the Naira Betts late pick 5 follow along. We see $161,000 in the pool. Feedback kicked things off back in race number 6. First time starter for Chad Brown, Klarovich Stables, with the meet's leading rider aboard, and Irad Ortiz Jr. And now a heavy favorite winning leg 2. Coming up next, Grade 2, Saratoga Special. And Call Paul comes in from Delaware for trainer Jason Service. Was expected to be very good in that first out effort, and he certainly was.
Very impressive in his debut, Call Paul was, back in early July at Delaware Park. A horse that just drew off the end of the race and actually towards the wire, was wrapped up and probably could have won by even more. But even more impressive than his performance is the fact that the second-place horse was so far ahead of the rest of the field, which suggests this is a really good horse.
Yeah, it was miles back to the third-place finisher, 13.5 lengths to be exact. Call Paul, second-place finisher in there, battled all the way on the front end. Call Paul put that one away and then got the job done. Well, Grade 2 Saratoga Special, usually stacked with all very, very talented 2-year-olds every time we get to Saratoga. 7-time Eclipse Award-winning trainer Todd Pletcher. He is going to send out 2 more very intriguing 2-year-olds in this stakes race. Coming up, let's meet one of the top trainers in the country who is bound for the Hall of Fame.
I am Todd Pletcher.
Always Dreaming has won the Kentucky Derby. And a second Kentucky Derby for Todd Pletcher.
I am a trainer. I thought I was smart enough that I didn't need to go to college, that I, at that age, I was eager to get going and wanted to get into the horse business, and it was really my parents that influenced me to perspectives. But, going to the University of Arizona and being in the racetrack industry program, I think I saw a different side. A lot of that's dealing with the front side management and parimutuel departments and things like that, that on the backside you know it's happening, but you don't really know the details of it. So it was helpful, and I think just from a perspective of maturing, getting a little older, and once I was finished with college, I was ready to go to work.
Jersey Girl holds on.
More than ready, sprinting today, 7 furlongs in 122 and 2.
I think I always feel like More Than Ready and Jersey Girl were kind of the 2 horses that really helped me get going.
Super Saver Calvin Burrell, 1 furlong for the Derby here.
Super Saver's Derby win was probably a little different for me because at that point I think our 0 for streak was whatever it was, and so it was almost like a relief.
But it's Super Saver and Calvin Burrell, the unflappable Calvin Burrell, riding that rail to victory once again in the Kentucky Derby.
The coolest thing about winning the Derby for me was for my parents to be there to see it. That made it extra special. Wow. I was pretty excited, and then just the emotions that go through your mind in 2.5 minutes, that race from the stumble at the start.
And they're off. Oh, and the filly bobbled at the break. Rags to riches, stumbled coming out of there.
My first thought was, man, we made the wrong decision.
These two in a battle of the sexes in the Belmont Stakes.
I think of all the races that I've been in, I've had more people come up to me and tell me how excited they were watching that race.
They're coming down to the wire. It's going to be very close, and it's going to be a filly in the Belmont.
I think even in retrospect now, when you look back at it, that she was able to beat Curlin, who's a 2-time Horse of the Year, and I'm thinking that pretty soon the Hall of Fame needs to recognize that. I'm a little bit frustrated she hasn't been inducted already.
He has accomplished just about everything you could ever hope to in this game as a trainer. There he is, Todd Pletcher, 7-time Eclipse Award winner. He's going to send out the 1 Mead and also the 3 Spinoff in here. And Spinoff, son of hard spun out of a mare that was a Grade 1 winner of the Acorn.
Yeah, and they did it the right way, those 2 horses. One did it down in South Florida, Spinoff, out of Gulfstream Park. The horse that ran second that day had a very troubled trip, but came back to win in reserve not attained. Horse that did it at Belmont, Mead, the 1 horse, again, blinkers on for his first start. He rates well, finishes well in that race, comes away a winner.
Saw him there with Vinny Viola of St. Elias Stable, who is part owner of Mead, the son of Street Sense. We're going to take a break in the action. Voodoo Song. Oh, does he love it at Saratoga. From claimer to Grade 1 winner. We'll have that story next.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
this Saratoga meeting will start. At this Saratoga meeting, we'll start things off with your current favorite. Two-year-old racing is a handicapping puzzle unlike any other in the game. The only information you can use in the program that gives you only a vague idea of how they will run is their pedigree, morning workouts, and stats for the trainer, thus making it very important to look at two-year-old first-time starters in the paddock. Firstly, look at them as a physical. The horses that tend to be precocious types are mature, athletic-looking individuals. They will be bigger, solid, and fit. You also want to find horses that are mature mentally as well. They will act like professionals that have already run before. Horses that are green, spooky, nervous, or studdish generally should be avoided.
Good stuff there from Maggie Wolfendale. We have a two-year-old race coming up and maybe some future stars here. Grade 2 Saratoga Special is coming up. Tight 10 is the current favorite, but that is a look at the Delaware shipper.
Wow.
Call Paul for trainer Jason Service with more on this horse and the rest of this field. Time for a Paddock Report with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm. Now standing Byron for $15,000.
Thanks, Greg. And Call Paul does come in here with the highest buyer speed figure in this field, and visually it was impressive down there at Delaware. The only thing you have to call into question is the overall quality of the field, but there was a lot of separation between all of them, and Call Paul looks like a fast type. He is built downhill, he has those higher hindquarters, but he's also got some size to him too, and I love his overall disposition here in the paddock. He's cool, he's just strutting his stuff, looking at everybody, taking it all in, and he is an ultimate professional. We'll see where he stands when they spring the latch, because I do feel as though he's going to be that fast type, but he's going to have to deal with your current favorite in number 4, Tight 10. Now, Steve Asmussen, he's good with second starters when they haven't broken their maiden, but doing this, we saw Lyrical Lady yesterday in the Adirondack not fire. So Tight 10, he looks great. I cannot fault him here at all physically. And, you know, he showed that greenness in his first start. He's not showing anything like that here in the paddock. They are keeping him quiet, though, in the saddling stalls. But he's another one that's bigger and more mature looking and doesn't necessarily look like he's one that has to be on the front end. He's actually more of a horse that looks as though longer distances may eventually be in his future, as he's a fool to a recent winner here, Devil's Halo. But I want to hear what Andy and Paul have to say about Call Paul.
Well, one thing we're going to say on Call Paul, and what you like to do when you look at first-time starters that win, is you want to see if horses come out of their race and come back and run well or run poorly. Well, the horse that ran second to Call Paul, we saw at Monmouth a little earlier today, Mind Control Paul, and that was very impressive.
Yeah, won by about 3 lengths in the 109 and change. And listen, when you watch races, sometimes you want to look visually what's going on here. And now you know why. Actually, Mind Control came back and won, because there was so much well clear of the third place finisher. These two horses are the best. And Call Paul is going to be tough today. Jason Service been shipping his horses in. got off to a cold start, now starting to pick it back up again.
And one of the hardest things I do is to chase a horse like Call Paul
Yeah.
and still hold as well as second place finisher Mind Control did, and then to come back and run as well as he did has to be considered a feather in his cap.
Yeah.
And I think he's the horse to beat. And one of the reasons I do, Paul, is tight 10 for Steve Asmussen. We saw it yesterday in the Adirondack. He's now 1 for 15 with horses that won their debuts as 2-year-olds in dirt sprints that come back in graded stakes. And he's got a very low ROI, and it just suggests that tight 10 may not come back and run as well as he did last time.
Yeah, he was dynamite too. He dueled early, and he just kept on going. I thought the final time was legit too in a wide open group of 12. I love when you can beat full fields like this, and it was a good race. And sometimes you wonder if they're going to bounce a little bit. And this one, obviously well bred here by Winchell Thoroughbreds, but to me, he's dueling this whole way, and they're what? The horse in third is looming up like that he's going to go right on by. I like the way he wins the battle. Now he's going to win the war here with the 7, and then he's got to hold off the rest of the other people in here. I thought this was very, very impressive.
Oh, it was. I completely agree with you. And I love the way he came back. It looked top of the stretch like he might just get swallowed up.
Yeah,
and he not only wasn't dead, he
went
drew
easy.
off.
The 9 looked like he was by. The 7 was sweeping. And I tell you what, I always say this, the Steve Asmussen horses go through the car wash the best. They always look great and look great at the wire, and still looked a little green, like there was something more.
And in fairness, the one that he had yesterday, the filly, she had run on opening day here, so she was coming back on relatively short rest. This one's coming back about 5 weeks later. So in reality, at least she's had some more time.
Yeah, that's
or he
true.
has.
Yeah, yes. And I think that's key, especially with colts. Maybe more to fillies, and that'd be more of a question to Tom. Tom, would you really want to give more time, as we do have a late scratch here?
All right, so Larry Colmus making the announcement here, the track announcer.
Like the 6.
Late scratch of Wesley Ward's runner, stage left. Yeah, the 6 coming out here, who won first time out at Keeneland back in April.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened here. Oftentimes when horses scratch in the paddock, look, they've already been examined by the state veterinarian in the morning, so they know these horses are fit and good to go. So something probably happened in the paddock. I'd refer to Maggie for that, but maybe he fell or being saddled. Something obviously went wrong in the paddock, but he was good this morning.
And we saw Wesley Ward just leave the screen. That's a look at Irad Ortiz Jr. He's going to be on Call Paul in here, but everyone with a bit of a look of concern on their faces in here. And that's going to be so difficult for a trainer. You put all this into a horse to get to a stakes race like this, come to Saratoga, and then you don't get to run your race.
Yeah, but you know what? They talked about losing the battle and winning the war. Well, so he doesn't get to run today. I know it's a huge disappointment to all the connections, but the idea here is protection of the horse and to make sure that the horse is at his best when he runs. Look, whenever this has happened to me, and it's been rare, and it's rare for Wesley too, it's always the same thing. You say, I want to do what's right by the horse. That's what trainers want to do.
Protect the horse and run another day. That's going to be the game plan here for stage left. Late scratch in the grade 2 Saratoga Special. And actually, we'll see. It changes the complexion. You would think maybe a little bit in terms of pace of this race, too, because that was a horse who did show speed in that debut at Keeneland. Usually Wesley Ward's 2-year-olds are very, very fast.
That's a great point. He was the speed of the speed in here. A lot of these horses like to lay close, but I think he was the fastest in the race.
All right, we're going to take a break in the action again. Late scratch of stage left. The 6 horse will be back to talk through the rest of this field when we come back.
Grade 1 winner Data Link by world-renowned sire Warthrop. Data Link scored in the prestigious Grade 1 Makers 46 mile at Keeneland, then set a new course record in the Grade 2 Monmouth Stakes. His runners include stakes winner Saratoga, along with a growing list of talented young runners. At public auction, his yearlings have sold up to $200,000. Data Link, standing at Claiborne Park.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, and that is one of the new restaurants in town at the Adelphi Hotel. I will be partaking of their menu tonight.
Well, I want to know all about it because there are a lot of good places in town, but I'm always interested in a new one.
I will give my review on the show tomorrow. Post-parade brought to you by OCD Pellets. Build Stronger Bone with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. For more information, visit OCDPellets.com. We start with Mead, 1 of 2 for Todd Pletcher. Jose Ortiz rides.
It's very professional breaking his maiden and absolutely can win this race.
Call Paul comes in from Delaware off that impressive performance for Jason Service. Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard.
Yeah, Sire, Frisian Fire stands for 4,000. They paid 210,000, and he's a looker.
Yeah, that is a lot for that sire. Spin-off. The other Todd Pletcher runner has John Velasquez in the irons.
Well, based on speed figures, he's the slowest of the foursome. 3 horses have come back. The second, third, and fourth place finishers and improved dramatically out of his maiden win.
Tight 10. Hit the rail in the stretch at Churchill, but still won impressively for Steve Asmussen. Ricardo Santana Jr. rides.
Yeah, another one that looks great on the racetrack. Tap It, Distorted Humor. I would think the extra half a furlong helps him the most.
And again, late scratch of the 6, stage left. We're going to check in now with Gabby Gaudet. She is standing by with the president and CEO of the Japan Racing Association, Matsuyuki Goto.
Thank you, Greg. That's right. We are standing here in the paddock. And Mr. Goto, what do you think of Saratoga so far?
Oh, I love it. I was here. The atmosphere is very good. And last time I was here, I don't remember exactly, but the first time I came here was in 1995, over 20 years ago. The atmosphere in Saratoga is not changed, but the facility comes very good, improved, wonderful.
Absolutely. Great racing to experience, too. Speaking of racing, how is the racing going in Japan?
Oh, it's very good. So we are moderately going up than the last year. Turnover and attendance is upper than the last year. We are very good situation so far.
We love Japan racing. Is there any chance of us in the United States seeing Japan racing in simulcasting?
Yeah, sure. You have a good chance to do it. And whenever you need, we send our signal to you so you can see not only Japan Cup, but the other races in Japan.
Mr. Goto, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
You're most welcome. Thank you. And I'm waiting for your coming to Tokyo, Japan. Whenever you need me, make touch with me. So.
Okay, we will do it. How about that, Greg? You want to take a trip over to Japan with me? You in?
I am in anytime. I'll tell you what, I have such deep appreciation for Japan racing. I've made 2 trips there to cover the Japan Cup and the Japan Cup Dirt. Tokyo Racecourse, to me, one of the most beautiful facilities, not just forget horse racing, of any sporting facility I've ever been to in my life.
And you probably recognize a lot of the breeding there. The American racing has a tremendous influence on their breeding program. Every year, they buy our top quality broodmares.
Incredible experience I had over there. I highly encourage anyone to make that trip if you have the opportunity. Grade 2 Saratoga Special. It is our feature coming up next. And Todd Pletcher, little cool on the board. We know how dominant he's been with his 2-year-olds over the years, but 7-2 on the 1 Mead and 6-1 on the 3 spinoff here.
Well, look, if everybody's interested in the 2-horse Call Paul in the winner, probably the most impressive Churchill Downs winner this spring, Tight 10, the 4-horse, then the money's going to fall on those 2, and everybody's going to go up in odds. That's the way the game works. Doesn't mean that those horses can't make that improvement for their first or second start and be a part of the winning picture.
And guys, we'll send it downstairs to you. As for spinoff, one of those Todd Pletcher runners, the 3-horse in here, plenty of time to acclimate, even though that debut win came at Gulfstream, but plenty of works here at Saratoga.
Yeah, and I think we've seen in the past that Todd Pletcher has debuted horses at Gulfstream and Monmouth Park, Paul, and they don't look fast enough to win, but they improve dramatically coming up here in stakes, and this horse is coming out of a super live race.
They have. You know, the statistics say, I mean, he's about 25 to 30%. I understand that's Todd, but he's having a little slowish meet. I like the way this horse broke. I thought it was very professional. Had it duel a tiny bit. They did not go fast early, but I pay attention to the ears. You look at the ears, she wants to do more. You see that horse to the outside, looks like it's getting to her. Never, ever getting to her. She wants to do more, and I think she's a nice little price in here.
No, I think he's a player in this race as well. You know, to me, Call Paul is the horse to beat, but I'm always afraid of Todd Pletcher in these spots. And frankly, Meade, the one, I mean, what is wrong with his first race? I think he ran fine in there. And what if he improves a little bit? Why can't he win as well?
There's nothing wrong. And here's the deal. His sire, Street Sense, not great with first-time starters. I want to say he's like 5 or 6%, somewhere in that area. And this horse ran first time out. And I think maybe getting the rail could help him. Maybe he just gets sense.
Well, and we'll ask the guys upstairs to comment on this, but we'll comment. Isn't it possible in here that Call Paul and Tight 10 get engaged early, and the Pletcher horses are sitting in a comfortable spot, 3rd and 4th behind them?
It's very possible, isn't it?
No, I mean, look, in Meade's first race, the one horse for Pletcher, he rates well off the lead, and so does Spinoff, Pletcher's other horse, the 3. Both of them accept company alongside him, but hey, so did Call Paul, our heavy favorite.
That's Meade you're looking at, though. One of a pair for Todd Pletcher, neither the favorite. Grade 2 Saratoga special when we come back.
Son of Giants Causeway has sired 4 millionaires, including Claiborne Farm stallion Lee. Recent top runners include 4-time graded stakes winner Miss Sky Warrior, 3-time graded stakes winner Sharp Samurai, multiple stakes winner Bal Harbor, and Dubai Group 3 winner Shamal Nibras. Last year, his 2-year-old sold up to $540,000, while his yearlings fetched up to a whopping $575,000. First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
How do New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired New York bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a 2nd time, to Belmont adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close 2nd in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires, 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes, and world record setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
Back on Saratoga Live in the Grade 2 Saratoga Special is our feature race. It's coming up. Our show's presented by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual unusually well. Tight 10 for Steve Asmussen. We showed you that trouble in the stretch, Tom, in his debut at Churchill Downs. What do you do to correct that with a horse here in his 2nd start?
Well, a lot of times experience does the correcting for you. Look, mentally, horses can get confused in their first start. They haven't done this before with a group of other horses in the starting gate. He didn't leave that well that day. I would look for him to be a lot more professional today.
Well, we had a late scratch of a horse here in the paddock area. The 6-horse Stage Left came out of this race. For more on that, let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Thanks, Greg. And yeah, Stage Left, and actually with his trainer, Wesley Ward, noticing that his left hind ankle was swollen and had filling in it. So obviously, just erring on the side of caution and not going forth with Stage Left here today. But want to talk about a couple horses out here. Number 2 is Call Paul, who has gotten probably the most aggressive warm-up, but not as if he's getting aggressive out here. He's a really cool, laid-back dude beneath Irad Ortiz. Some of these other babies are acting and showing their age, if you will, but he's moving tremendously out here and just really all class, and he looks like the fastest horse. As we'll take a look at number 3, Spinoff. As Todd Pletcher said, a horse not bred to go short, actually bred to go longer. You can see that. But the thing is he's actually acting kind of green, to be honest. And while he was professional in running at Gulfstream. Not in love with him out here, though. I would probably prefer between the two Pletcher horses, Meade. But I really think this race is all about Call Paul.
Well, let's go back to what Tom Amos said here. You might have heard it on the show. We got our first look of the two, Call Paul in the paddock area, and wow came out of your mouth.
No, he's a very, very good-looking horse. Maggie talked about him being built downhill a little bit. We're talking about his shoulder, his chest. He looks like he's made for speed, but he also has scope, and scope is that distance between the front legs and the back legs, so he's lengthy. So that's why he costs so much money. He is a looker.
And Paul brought this up, the Parisian Fire, sire that stands for just $4,000. You wind up paying $210,000 for a sire that stands for $4 at a sale. It obviously means the horse looked outstanding right out of the gate when you saw him at the sale.
Not only any sale, this is a 2-year-old training sale, so you got to look under the hood that day. They put him on the racetrack. They worked him for the crowd, and he was probably the sale topper that day. If not, he had to be one of them at $210,000. Look, he's a January foal. He's very mature compared to these other horses, and it shows.
Even money on the board, and the secret was out when he debuted in that Delaware race that we showed you earlier. He was 2-5 in that debut effort, guys. And again, we talked about how professional he was in that performance and what the horse he put away in that race came back to do a Monmouth.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, obviously Call Paul, to me, is the horse to beat off that race. But he's got to do it in his second start, and you just don't know. Sometimes 2-year-olds will improve dramatically off their debuts, and sometimes they'll go in the other direction.
Yeah, it's, you know, guys upstairs, it's hard to take even money in 6-5. I get it. When all four horses have never lost, they've not experienced a loss, and my theory is never throw out an undefeated horse. So to me, this 4-pack they all have a shot.
Agreed.
Who will take that next step forward? There's Call Paul. He is the even money favorite. Again, we talked about some of the success of runners in this race, what they've gone on to do in their 3-year-old campaign. Gunnevera would win the Fountain of Youth on the Triple Crown Trail. He ran third in the Travers right here at Saratoga last summer. Exaggerator back in 2016 would win the Preakness Stakes. Who will step up and stamp themselves as an early contender for next year's Triple Crown? It's the Grade 2 Saratoga Special. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of horse racing's Triple Crown for the call, Larry Colmus.
Tight 10 takes the outside stall here. They're all in line. They're off in the Saratoga Special. The 4 of them broke evenly. Tight 10 on the far outside. Spin off. These two go out to the early lead, and Call Paul is right there too with Meade on the inside. So they head up the backstretch, and here comes Call Paul on the inside of Tight 10. Spin off between those two, and 3 of them race across the track. Meade will trail them, but not far behind. He's 2.5 lengths off the lead, continuing up the backstretch with Call Paul now a half length in front through a 22.48 opening quarter mile. Tight 10 on the outside, second at the half-mile pole, while Meade begins to move up outside of those two, and Spin Off will wait and sit on the rail just 2 lengths off the lead, midway around the far turn. Call Paul and Arad Ortiz Jr. a neck lead on Tight 10 as they make their way around the turn. Meade is up there 3 wide, and Spin Off is well in the race too. He's just 2 lengths behind as they come toward the top of the stretch. Call Paul turning for home in front. On the outside, Tight 10, Spin Off swings off the rail, tries to run down the top 2 who are stride for stride, and bumped briefly there with 1 furlong to run. It is Tight 10 and Call Paul. Call Paul, Tight 10, Spin Off is third. Call Paul digs in. Tight 10 tries to get by, but Call Paul's got something left. And Call Paul's gonna win the Saratoga Special. Tight 10 was second, Spin Off was third, and Meade fourth in 1:16.55.
Call Paul, impressive, and 2 for 2 is at Delaware form, transfers to Saratoga, and he was getting leaned on throughout this race from Tight 10.
Yeah, I think the opening quarter mile of this race is important because nobody really wanted to go to the lead. It was a very controlled opening quarter mile. Call Paul didn't break all that well, and they certainly could have made it difficult on him and taken his spot against the rail, but nobody wanted to do that. So Call Paul was able to get up in there, keep his position, shortest trip home, won the race.
Yeah, you make a great point, Tom. And the reason is Tight 10, it looked like she got high-headed, or he got high-headed towards the end there when Call Paul started going away. And it looked like Spin Off was about ready to go by, but Call Paul had a lot left. And And he makes a good point when he says that nobody really wanted the lead. We thought Meade might go to the front, and then Paul just took over.
That's a very slow first quarter for 6.5 furlongs. You see a little bumping out of the gate. I'd also like to see in the stretch, it felt like the number 4 horse in here, Steve Axmander's tight 10, was coming in a bit on call, Paul. Did you guys feel that way?
There's no question about it, right? There's a turn for home. He leaned in on him, and we saw him do the same thing in his debut at Churchill, so he still doesn't have it right. Right through here, Greg.
Yeah, I mentioned a couple of times. It actually happened multiple times here in the stretch. Yeah, this is what we saw with this horse in the debut at Churchill as well, right, Tom?
It is, and he's leaning again. But look, the rider Santana's doing all he can. He's hitting left-handed, trying to keep him off of him. There's that high head that Paul talked about, and something to keep in mind on the 4-horse tight 10. That is not what you want at the end of a race.
And you see Ricardo Santana Jr. finally late trying to correct the horse with a left-handed stick, but the damage was done.
Yeah, it was. It was done. I mean, I wanted to ask you, Tom, sometimes when you see these horses get drilled like that, it makes the horse more competitive. Do you think that made the 2 more competitive when he got hit?
Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
Here with Irad Ortiz and Paul. Irad, as you just said, he's still learning, but he does have a lot of talent.
Yeah, he does. Trainer Jason Serby really liked the horse. Told me about it. I never been on the horse, but he told me he do everything right. He was schooling behind horses, so don't panic. Do riding like an older horse. He have some class. I mean, he break out of there. I just put the hands down. He do everything so right. He do everything perfect.
Well, Irad, talk about his physicality as well. He looks like an older horse too.
He do. He's a big boy, and the post parade can see him beside the other horses. He looks so big. So let him be him. I think if he's good enough and he's on his pace, they can follow him. So I just try to be relaxed and put the hands down, don't be on his weight.
Now, you did have a little bit of contact with the Asmussen horse, and he was resilient, though. It didn't seem as though it bothered him too much.
Not really, you know, when he felt the other one, he just, I think he was waiting, because when he felt the other one, he just take off right away. I mean, I still learning. It's just his second start.
Well, Irad, it's official. You are the winner of the Saratoga Special with Paul here. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, guys. As Irad said,
I love you, buddy.
We all love Michael Dubb. Are you kidding me? As much as Michael Dubb does for this sport, does for the backstretch, good things happen to good people, and that's why he's the winner of today's Saratoga Special, Greg.
Well, that's not Michael Dubb, but that's his trainer of this horse here, Jason Service, who is very happy with the performance. Of course, Michael Dubb, part owner as well of Monomoy Girl, who won the Coaching Club American Oaks earlier in the meet, who right now is the, without question, standalone leader of the 3-year-old filly division.
No, indeed she is. And interesting to see that she's going to skip the Alabama next week, going 1.25 miles, and wait for something down the road, because if she was in that race, the field would be a lot smaller.
She was back to work on the track, though, earlier this morning. It looks like the Cotillion Park's next for her, but Michael Dubb has another nice one here. 2-year-old Paul, now allowing himself to dream a little bit about next year and the Triple Crown season, but still a lot more work to do as a 2-year-old. We'll be back with more after this.
This successful son of AP Indy has sired 6 millionaires, including Eclipse champion West Coast, a multiple Grade 1 winner and runner-up in the $16 million Pegasus World Cup. This year, Flatter is adding even more stakes winners to his outstanding record at stud. In the auction ring, Flatter topped the 2018 Fasig-Tipton July sale with a $520,000 yearling. Success on the track, success in the ring. Flatter, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Off the turn with a length and a half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Bayern turning for home in front. Coast of New York on the outside. California Chrome is third. Shared Belief laboring back there in fifth. 1 furlong to run. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome on the outside. The 3 of them come to the wire. Bayern, Coast of New York. California Chrome. Here's the finish. Bayern
Back on Saratoga Live, Jason Service, winning trainer of the Grade 2 Saratoga Special, talking about his impressive 2-year-old Call Paul. And the win even more impressive, you look at what he had to endure in this race.
Yeah, look at the Asmussen horse, tight 10. He's going to hit Call Paul. He knocks his hind end out from underneath him right there. That's enough to get taken down for what he did just there. But more importantly, watch the end of this race and this horse, the 4 tight 10, and how high his head gets. You see he's got a flare nasal strip on to help him try to breathe. I question if there's not a problem here with breathing on this horse.
Got his hind end knocked out from under him a little bit into that stretch and still just keeps on motoring home. We're going to check in with Gabby Gaudet for more.
Thanks, Greg. Here in the winner's circle, celebrating with Jason Service, the winning trainer of Call Paul. And Jason, talk a little bit about this horse coming down the stretch. I mean, he took a couple of bumps, and it didn't seem to faze him whatsoever.
You know, he got banged really good. I thought if that horse would have got by us, he might have, would have came down. You know, they're young horses. They're running green. My horse still figuring it out. Not sure what's going on. But Irad said when he got bumped, he kind of took off. I guess let me get away from this guy, but I'm glad he did.
What does that tell you for a lightly raced 2-year-old to have that type of reaction to getting bumped like that?
I mean, he's got a great mind, really. The girls in the barn can pet him. I liked him from day one, and the fact that it worked out, and the connections they're in the game. You know, they put a lot into it. It really makes me happy. It's gratifying.
We'll talk about you mentioned day one. This horse is a big, beautiful looking horse. What was your impression of him day one?
I mean, I said, well, whoever owns a piece of him should be real happy. That's what I told Mike, because I think he's a damn good horse. So I don't know if he wants to sprint either. You know, he galloped out really good the first time we ran him. So
I was going to ask you, what do you see in this horse's future?
I mean, I'd like to point for the Champagne again, like I did last year with Frenzy Fire. You know, kind of taking the same path. Frenzy Fire was at Monmouth Park, broke his maiden. We shipped him up the day before. We did the same thing with this colt. He won the Sanford. So I'll probably leave this colt and point for the Champagne.
Well, we're definitely going to be looking forward to it. Congrats on this one, Jason.
You do a great job, Gabby. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Back to you guys here. Call Paul, super impressive in the Saratoga Special.
Ultra impressive with the fact that getting leaned on there by tight 10. We talked about this sire standing for $4,000, horse sold for $210,000. The Dam, she was 5 for 8 in her career. She broke her maiden in a maiden claimer at Fairplex. The best win of her career was a starter allowance at what became Parks.
When you find a good athlete, you're going to pay to get him. And if Call Paul was the paddock pick, and he sure looked like it to me, Jason Service might have been the paddock pick, too. I mean, matching jacket, buttons, and glasses.
He was well dressed.
That's outstanding.
He knew he had a runner. He wanted to dress the part. Naira Betts, late pick 5 follow along. It has been formful as can be to this point. But still, a couple of races to come, and surprises can happen. Before we get to the Weah, which is coming up next, been taken off the turf, we need to talk about what happened yesterday. 4-star Dave Way, that's how much 4-star Dave is meant to this community. They named an area in the racetrack after the Sultan of Saratoga, who won here at least once every year from 1987 to 1994. Race named in his honor happened yesterday in the speedy Voodoo Song. He was quick out of the gate, Tom.
And he was quickest, because the horse right next to him is no slouch, heart to heart. And right here when they go to the first turn, Greg, Heart to Heart's going to say, I'm not as fast as you are, so I'm going to take back. He gives him the lead, and he gives him the rail, and that's the difference in winning this race.
Jose Ledcano said, I'm just going to leave him alone and let him do what he does. He opened a 3.5 length advantage. By the half-mile pole, he opened a 5-length advantage, and when they came to him, Delta Prince making a run, he found some heart and dug in.
He did, because right here it looks like Voodoo Song has had enough. But when he spots his horse out of the corner of his eye, he digs back in and wins. Look, we've seen a lot of good races this meet. This is my favorite so far.
Just grit and determination from a horse who, at this meet last summer, we all know what he did. He won 4 races here in 42 days. That had not been done since 1952. But that first of those 4 was a $40,000 claiming race. Now he is a Grade 1 winner, holding off a whole different kind of company. You see in the winner's circle there, that was Linda Rice with Barry Schwartz. He's won Grade 1s all over the country. He had never won a Grade 1 at Saratoga before.
It's not easy to do. This is a tough, tough place.
Incredible performance, guys, as we send it downstairs. Voodoo Song, he loves it at Saratoga. And now these connections dreaming even bigger with what this horse could do the rest of the year.
And I don't see any reason they shouldn't, frankly. And as great as his achievement was last year in winning those 4 races, it's something we may never see again. I think he's a better horse this year, and that race proved it.
Well, he's definitely a better horse this year because, you know, that last race that we just showed right there was amazing. It's amazing he hung on because he did look dead. And what Tom says, when horses can compete, what ends up happening is he took the heart out of Heart to Heart, no pun intended, by going to the front end. This is an old school type of horse that takes it to you early and then just tries to, you know, take the heart out of everybody. And here's the deal. He was a little rank in the beginning of this race. For him to have finish at the end of this race was amazing to me. But Tom made such a great point when he saw that other horse. He was just not going to let the horse go by. They could have went around another mile, Andy. They was not going by him.
I agree. I mean, you thought it multiple times in the stretch that he was going to get swallowed up because that was a very, very fast pace he was setting considering the condition of the course. I mean, this race went a good 2 seconds slower than it would have on a very firm course. So his fractions were huge had it been firm. And in theory, horses that run off in front end, they're better off on very firm courses. It doesn't matter. This is a horse that does not need the right course to try to stop.
Yeah,
he brings his race to whatever course he's on.
No, and he rated, remember, last time. So he's learned how to win in so many different ways now. So I get it. I get he loves Saratoga, but I think he's turning into more than that. He's turning into a monster of a horse
I'm going to tell you, to say he loves Saratoga would be to take away from how well he ran at Belmont Park, though.
Exactly.
Because he ran exceptionally well winning the Forbidden Apple and really well finishing third in the prior race in the Poker, in which was really a Grade 1 field. So in my book, Voodoo Song is one of the top turf milers in the country right now. I don't think you can argue against it.
Yeah, you got to put him up there. Obviously, he loves it here, but he's good almost anywhere. And credit to Barry Schwartz as well. The Lure was last weekend. He was co-entered in that race. It got canceled. It was run again yesterday. But it was Barry Schwartz who kind of nudged trainer Linda Rice along, said, let's go for the bigger prize with the Grade 1, and they get that victory. Here is Linda on that incredible performance.
I think that someone that rides a speed horse well, oftentimes people think that you should be nursing them and pulling them back and easing them back to the rest of the field. But in some cases that works against you, and I think establishing a clear lead can be a positive thing. You know, when he's 5 in front, I thought, ooh, I hope this works on a soft turf. They went a half in 46 and 4. We were a little concerned with the fractions with the turf being yielding. But, you know, he's a real fighter. He got there first. It's really unreal to, you know, 4-Star Dave, everyone that's ever been to Saratoga in the last, you know, decade and a half is a big fan of 4-Star Dave, hence the race is named after him. And I think we need those type of horses. We need a Tiger Woods, we need a Derek Jeter, someone to root for. And I think last year with his 4 wins and starting out in a 40 claimer, he's become kind of a fan favorite. And so then when you get to Saratoga and say, okay, so what do we do now? Winning the 4-Star Dave, you know, is just fabulous.
Just an incredible story of what this racehorse has accomplished. And yeah, 4-Star Dave, he won 9 races over an 8-year span, winning at least 1 race every single one of those 8 years. Voodoo Song has now won 5 races in less than 2 full seasons here at Saratoga. They were going to try and go, I believe, for a second one this summer, but those plans may have changed now because they have to pick bigger targets.
They do have to pick bigger targets because, I mean, going into that race, everyone looked at it as a step up. Could he be competitive with the group? The answer is a resounding yes.
Incredible performance, one of the best we have seen here at this meet. Voodoo Song, he is gaining all kinds of fans with what he did. The Fasig Tipton, Waya is up next here. It's been taken off the turf. And with that surface switch, now Mom's on strike for trainer Joe Sharp. 4-5 on the board.
And rightfully so. Mom's on Strike is effective at this distance of 1.25 miles, turf and dirt. She is the one to beat.
3-5 now as you take a look at Graham Motion, saddling up Lottie, who will have Jose Ortiz aboard. We'll talk more about this field when we come back.
Visit Rivers Casino and Resort, upstate New York's ultimate entertainment destination, with live table game action and the hottest new slots paying out millions. Book your luxury waterfront room or suite at upstate New York's premier resort, the Landing Hotel at Rivers Casino and Resort.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
The finish, way on the outside, Pearl Necklace along the inside. It's way up, putting ahead in front, Pearl Necklace hanging on the rail. Then a gap of 6 lengths back to Fia, now third, followed by Table Hopper. Coming to the wire, Weah has the lead.
That was Weah winning the 1978 Diana, and she equaled a world record mark of 1:45.2 for a 1 1/8 on the turf.
Greg, I remember it like it was yesterday. It's truly one of my favorite all-time races in my life. The horse that she beat, Pearl Necklace, was a monster of a talent. Weah, who's one of the early horses Angel Pennant brought over here with for Daniel Wildenstein, was an absolute killer. She ended up being sold, and Peter Brand ended up having her. She won grade 1s on dirt and turf. She beat the boys in the Man of War, a race I was at Belmont Park with my grandmother for. She won by a head with Angel Cordero, paid $15. And that race in the Diana, honestly, to me, is one of the most important races for me as a racing fan of my life. Weah was one of the great horses of all time.
And she also beat Mel, she mentioned in the Man of War, also the Turf Classic. She won the Flower Bowl in her first foal, by the way. Vidalia, she became a champion 2-year-old filly in Italy. Pretty impressive. So the Weah coming up. Time for a Paddock Report now. We're going to check in with Maggie Wolfendale. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
And as we see this Weah on the main track going 1.25 miles, well, we saw today's 7th race dominated on the front end in what was a 4-horse field as well. So maybe the horse that does sort themselves out as being the speed in here could be in an advantageous position. Now, it's not that clear on paper as to who that may be, but at least surmising by what is on paper and here in the paddock, number 2, Savannah Bell, could do that. I don't know if she is quite fast enough. We'll have to find out. But she does have Louis Saez aboard. She is a filly that is sharp, and keen here in the paddock as well. And look, she's a filly that has been on a main track. She does have a win, albeit a very slow one, but she looks like a filly that can handle anything. She doesn't have that proverbial turf hoof, and she's just kind of versatile in her frame. So we'll see how she does, and wonder if they do take advantage of some early speed that she may have. Number 5 is Moms on Strike for trainer Joe Sharp, and I've seen this mare train throughout her career down at the fairgrounds. I watched her every day with Joe. He would get on her himself, and she does train very nicely over the main track. And I remember this gal starting off her career was mainly on dirt, and they spotted her in had very lofty aspirations as far as graded stakes were concerned. And then Joe took over training her and tried her in the pebbles, and she was 50-1 that day, and I loved her switching to the turf. But she has shown she can handle this main track, and she is that big, strong, strapping individual that, if it comes down to a war of kind of attrition and who has the most strength and stamina, it's going to be Moms on Strike here, and she is a deserved favorite here. Andy, what do you think about the current favorite?
Maggie, and Paul and I have talked about it before, she may just be the dirt horse in a field where they're going to struggle on the dirt, the others. She ran 3rd as a 3-year-old in the Black Eyed Susan and 5th in the Mother Goose. I think that sort of sets her apart from this group. And also, Paul, she's in career form.
No, she's in very good form. You're right. She's won 3 in a row. Then she came back. She won. She has a tough field in New York. Let's be honest. I mean, 4-star Crook, those horses are real horses. I mean,
they ran 1-2 yesterday. Beverly D.
I mean, it's just the real deal. So if she takes to the dirt at all, now she hasn't been on it in a while on a fast dirt, and it's fast night now. I'd see her going to maybe the 3-5 here pretty soon.
She is way the horse to beat. I mean, Lottie obviously has a lot of talent. I don't want in any way dismiss Lottie, but it's a dirt race. And Graham Ocean, I love that he's taking a shot in here, and it may well work out because she certainly likes the distance, 1.25 miles.
Yeah, I get it.
But she's got to handle the surface.
Well, I mean, listen, you have to bet somebody else, right, in a 4-horse field. I'm not betting Lottie. I am not betting a horse that's 1 for 9 the last 2 years against a horse that is 5 for 11 the last 2 years. And that's what you're getting between 5-2 and 4-5. I get there's a difference there, but I can't take 5-2 on Lottie.
Just because a horse is 5-2 doesn't mean it's better value than the 4-5 shot. I think the 5's better value at 4-5. And then there's Tricky Escape, who has won on the dirt, has run best when there's some moisture in the track. Now, the track's labeled fast. I don't think there's any moisture left in the track, and that might have helped her the most.
Yeah, and let me tell you something. Don't let Lynn Ashby, the trainer, fool you. She is a very good trainer. She's a trainer that used to train Arabians way back when at Los Alamitos, and actually started running at Delaware with some turf horses. Very good trainer. She's a breast cancer survivor, and she knows exactly what she's doing, and her career is back, and this one's got a big shot.
I sense from that, Greg, that Paul's done a little Arabian betting at Los Al in his day.
And of course, he's going to the harness track as soon as we're done here. Wherever there's wagering, you will find him. We love this sport in any form possible. Weigh Up coming up, and we're going to see our post-parade here in a moment. We're going to kick things off with Lottie. Jose Ortiz will be aboard for trainer Graham Motion.
She's good. She likes the distance, but does she like the dirt?
Savannah Bell, 9-2 on the board. Trained by Brian Lynch, and Luis Saez rides.
Maybe she's the horse you put underneath for an exacta because she's always right there, right? 6 seconds and 16 starts.
Anna Bashitza on Moms on Strike for trainer Joe Sharp, 4-5 right now.
They don't run races on paper, but she's the best horse probably in this race, and she's the best dirt horse. Makes her pretty formidable.
And Lynn Ashby, who Paul was just talking about, trains Tricky Escape with Chris DiCarlo.
Yeah, and how about Chris DiCarlo and Lynn Ashby together this year? 5 mounts, 3 W's. This could be a dangerous runner here.
I like those percentages. We'll see what happens here. 7-2. The entire board at 3-5. Well, that just happened now. 3-5. Heavy favoritism now on Moms on Strike. But the biggest price, 5-1 here in this compact 4-horse field here, with this being moved off the turf. As we get a look at the heavy favorite, Moms on Strike, Joe Sharp trying to collect another victory here at the great meet he's had so far.
They're on. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates.
Soft got a turn with a link to the half lead.
Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200.
The dramatic finish.
Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NyraBets.com.
Potato chips, they were actually invented here in Saratoga. If you've not tried them, they are sensational. And by the way, our producer, Josh Abelson, our director, Mitch Levitis, making their show debuts in that little piece
those
right
had
there.
to be professional actors.
You
they
would
had the
think, because they really pulled it off.
Charisma. I mean, they had to be pros.
So natural. The weigh coming up next right now. We're approaching the 3-minute mark to post. Let's go downstairs to Paula Duca.
The problem that you guys don't know is you don't remember when Larry Bird was the first one that did the Lay's commercial and said you just can't only eat one.
Weigh coming up next, 3 to 5 on Moms on Strike. Meanwhile, Paula Duca was talking about trainer Lynn Ashby. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet for more.
That's right, Greg, here with trainer Lynn Ashby. And Tricky Escape, Lynn, I was kind of watching her in the paddock. I was watching her when she put her feet on the track, and she's got a little bit of spunk to her, huh?
She does. That's her normal self. She kind of like does that warm up. She does that kick thing. She gets herself revved up. I mean, she stays cool, calm, collected, but she just likes to throw punches.
You know her very, very well. How important is this mare to you?
Oh, so important, as is her owner, John Marshall. It's been such a fun ride. You know, this is my first graded stakes winning thoroughbred. So, because everybody knows I've had the Arabians for all those years, you know, and had many graded stake winners with them. But yeah, she's very special.
You have about 15 thoroughbreds in training, as you mentioned, and about 8 Arabians. What goes into kind of training thoroughbreds and Arabians, and do you train them any differently?
I don't, because being small, we can stay and treat each as an individual, and I think that's where we can, you know, really concentrate on, and that's why I think we've been so successful. The way we've done. They're just each individual, you know.
Absolutely, each individual, and you pay attention to them individually as well. Now, Tricky Escape, obviously, she was originally supposed to run on the turf. What do you think of her on the dirt today?
I like her on the dirt. Forced Voice broke her maiden on the dirt in Maryland, so she was fine. Of course, then she won the Cardinal in the slop when it came off. She likes the slop. She can get it. She trains on this, you know, so she can get it. She has been showing how versatile she truly is. So if we pull up an upset today by winning today, then that's just another feather in her cap.
Absolutely. She is ultra consistent and versatile. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Good to see you, sweetie.
All right, Paul, I know you're jealous because she's like your favorite person, right?
Oh, my God. Lynn Ashby's won me so much money with those Arabians. I love you, Lynn.
Well, we'll see if she can spring another upset here and get a win at Saratoga with Tricky Escape. The 6 in here, 4-1 on the board right now. Meanwhile, with more on another horse trying to spring the upset, the 2 Savannah Bell. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, Greg, as I had said, Savannah Bell could use a little bit of her early pace here, and she was certainly warmed up in the same kind of fashion with Louis Saez. And I like the fact that despite getting a decent warm-up, she hasn't gotten that hot out here where some of these horses have, and I appreciate that. She's not the biggest. She's not the biggest and the most impressive looking. So, yes, a mile and a quarter needs to be called into question here, but it should be a question for all of these on the main track. So I'm going to try with her. She's the longest price in this field, and I've liked her last couple efforts. She's a bit of an overachiever. As number 1 is Lottie. Don't blame Grand Motion for keeping her in here at all. She does have more of a turf hoof, but there's some pedigree to say that she might be able to handle it. And then it was cool catching up with Lynn Ashby. You know, the Arabians, guys, they do like to decorate their horses quite a bit. They'll often have pom-poms in their hair. And we see Tricky Escape in here. She has the checkerboard across her hind end, her tail's braided, has some braids in the mane. So it's always fun to see the horses kind of festive. I mean, these are racehorses. This is a almost not a pageantry, but we're allowed to have fun. It's a very colorful sport, Greg.
Yeah, I always love to see how they come out and how the different barns decorate their runners here for these races as you get a good look there at Tricky Escapade for Lynn Ashby. Again, 4-1 on the board.
4-1 on the board, and Maggie's mentioning Savannah Bell, the 2-horse. Her form has really changed as she's gotten further in distance. So if she can take to the dirt, I think she's the logical horse to be under Mom's on Strike in your exacta. 5-2.
That's your exacta.
5-2, cold.
All right, we'll see what happens here. It is the Weah coming up, a mile and a quarter now on the main track. Mom's on Strike, the 5. Odds on favor. Let's go to Larry Colmus.
They're off in the Fasig-Tipton Weah. Savannah Bell goes out to lead them early from the inside. Tricky Escape is up and on the pace, too. It's these two that will take charge, and Tricky Escape will take the lead. Savannah Bell will sit back as Lottie goes up on the outside of Mom's on Strike at the back of the pack, making their way toward that first turn, where the leader is Tricky Escape. Tricky Escape, Savannah Bell sits behind her on the inside. Lottie's up there 3 wide, and Mom's on Strike in between those two, just 2 lengths off the lead through that opening quarter mile in 24.55 seconds. Tricky Escape and Chris DiCarlo, the pacemaker of the Fasig-Tipton Weah, they're heading to the backstretch almost a length in front. And in her main track debut, Lottie is running in second on the outside. Savannah Bell is third toward the rail, and Mom's on Strike is not far behind. Ada Biscuits keeps her about 2.5, 3 lengths off the lead up the backstretch. 49.81, a moderate half mile here. So Tricky Escape on top just about all the way so far, 3/4 of a length. Lottie, Savannah Bell head and head, second and third. And still at the back of this foursome is Mom's on Strike, who is racing 3 lengths from front-running Tricky Escape. So there's a half mile to go. 3/4 is up in 1:14.4 seconds for Tricky Escape, who leads Lottie by a length on the far turn. Savannah Bell now coming under a ride, and Mom's on Strike too. And now Tricky Escape is trying to make a Tricky Escape on the far turn. She's opened up 3. Lottie is second, and here's Mom's on Strike with her run on the outside. Now she blasts up into second. Savannah Bell is next, and Lottie trails. Tricky Escape's going to be taken on here by Mom's on Strike. Mom's on Strike is working hard on the outside of Tricky Escape, who's battling her with a furlong to run. Tricky Escape says, I'm not done yet. Mom's on Strike's not a go with her, and they're coming down to the line. Chris DiCarlo and Tricky Escape pull it off in a Fasig-Tipton Weah. Mom's on Strike was second. Lottie was third in 2:04.08.
That turned into a really fun horse race in here. And how about that for trainer Lynn Ashby? Tricky Escape, Chris DiCarlo, they decide to quicken the tempo. They get tackled by Mom's on Strike, and then this 5-year-old mare finds more.
Yeah, give the assist to the 1-horse Lottie that was alongside of her early. They really hemmed in both Mom's on Strike and Savannah Bell. Neither of them could do anything for probably the first 3/4 of a mile of this race, and that allowed her to make that easy leap. But how game was she down the lane? Mom's on Strike had every chance to get to her in this 1.25 mile race. Couldn't do it. Tricky Escape, the best horse today.
Yeah, I can't argue with Tom. I mean, it felt like maybe the favorite, Moms on Strike, sort of let the other one low from the lead, but the way Moms on Strike came to Tricky Escape and got turned away, Tricky Escape was best.
She was good. You know, she really was. Went right to the front end. There was no bones about it. And I'm so happy for Lynn. This has got to be an unbelievable day for her to get her first win here at Saratoga with a thoroughbred. She's such an amazing trainer. Chris DiCarlo, pretty good as well.
Tricky Escape with a win. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
And a heads-up ride here by Chris DiCarlo. Chris, you have had a lot of success here with Lynn Ashby, or I should say up and down the East Coast. How awesome is it to win for her here at Saratoga?
Oh, it's great. I mean, she does such a great job. And she's given me the opportunity to ride this filly. She runs on any surface.
She does. She takes her racetrack with her, that's for sure. But a really good and smart, I thought, ride by you here and getting her to the front end. Because a lot of times, Chris, in these short fields, it does become a rider's race.
Yeah, well, the way the track had been playing, speed's been holding all day. And I didn't want to break and sit and get stuck wide and be the victim of slow pace. Last time I rode her, she won and nobody could pass her on the gallop out. So I said, you know what, if I break and I can make the lead, she might just keep on going. And that's what she did.
Yeah, I was going to say, this time she did it in the race. Everybody tried to come to you, and she said, no, ladies, this is all about me.
Yeah, you kind of take the wind out of the other horse's sails when you can run away from them. So I think that's what we did.
Well, Chris, congratulations. Good to see you and Lynn Ashby in the winner's circle up here at Saratoga.
Thank you, and congrats to you and Tom yesterday for winning the Grade 1 Secretariat, or whatever race that was.
Yes, that's what it is. Chris, thank you so much, guys. It was really nice here to catch up with Chris DiCarlo. Always a gentleman and a smart rider as well with Tricky Escape.
Oh, that was a very smart ride by Chris DiCarlo and giving Maggie and her family congratulations with a win with Carrick at the Secretariat at Arlington yesterday. But Chris DiCarlo, when he decided to quicken a little bit, that changed the race?
Yeah, it did indeed. And, you know, I love a rider that's a student of the game. And you listen to that interview with Chris DiCarlo, he knows this mare. He's ridden her more than once. And so a lot goes into when you ride him back and what you learn each time you ride him. So important for these riders to have a relationship with the horse they ride.
Tricky Escape at 7-2 in the Weah. Lynn Ashby, what a moment to win a stakes race here at Saratoga. Been doing this for a long, long time. This is just to feel real special. We'll be back with more right after this.
This graded stakes winner and multiple Grade 1 performer by Tapit has become one of the nation's leading sires of two-year-olds. Ranked #1 in his crop by number of winners, he sired 11 stakes horses in 2017, including graded stakes winners Wild Shot and Oklahoma Derby winner Untrapped. At the sales, his yearlings have sold up to $480,000. Trap Shot, standing at Claiborne Farm.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets. Rushes out of there to take the lead. It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, that is right across the street, the Hall of Fame here at Saratoga Springs. And here's our winner in the Weah. Tricky Escape, Lynn Ashby. She applied for her first ever trainer's license all the way back in 1983 at Yakima Meadows in the state of Washington. She is an 8-time winner of Best Trainer in Arabian Bred Racing. She won in 2014, 2015 as well. And now she gets the job done here with this 5-year-old mare, Tricky Escape.
And how about how docile Tricky Escape was going in the winner's circle? She was high energy in the paddock before the race. She knows she won. She's chilled as a cucumber.
6th win in Tricky Escape's career, owned by John Marshall. Chris DiCarlo, fantastic job in the irons, making the winning move here as we take a look at our NyraBets late pick 5 follow along. 161,000 in the pool, and now we get our first price here, and that might play a little bit bigger. We had an odds-on favorite defeated here in the stakes race. Let's go downstairs to Gabby Gaudet for more.
Thank you, Greg, here with Lynn Ashby. Of course, we were talking before the race, talking about how well she was doing on the track. Were you surprised today, though, that Chris DiCarlo had that aggressive move to go to the lead?
Because she was showing that in the paddock. And I said, if she has it when you warm up, use it. And he did. And it was just, wasn't that just done beautifully? It was magic. I mean, my gosh, that was wonderful.
It was done beautifully, but the way that she kind of dug in once the favorite was coming at her, I mean, it was impressive.
She has that kick. And even after that, you see he slowed the fractions down. That was really, it was just so masterfully done.
It really, really was. I overheard you from over there saying, special, she's so special. She really is special, isn't she?
It's been just a dream come true for all of us. You know, that's her owner talking earlier, John, and they're in California and they're watching this. And, you know, it was his first when she won the Cardinal in Kentucky. That was the first race that he physically got to be in a winner's circle of all his horses he's raced. And it meant so much. And his wife, there was somebody that was interested in buying her at the time. And his wife said, John, you love this. You're having so much fun, you do it. Because he picks the stake races. He goes through, Lynn, what do you think this and this? Well, she's doing this, she's doing that. Oh, yeah, they're having such a ball.
Such a special moment for all of you guys. We couldn't be happier.
All of us. It's so fun to share with all you guys and all my supporters.
Of course. Well, congratulations. Enjoy this one.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Greg, a lot of excitement and a lot of joy down here. Of course, deservedly so. Tricky Escape, hats off performance today.
Absolutely, hats off. That is tremendous to see. Well done by Lynn Ashby and all these connections here to get this victory. So well known for what she's done over the years with Arabians, and now getting her due here at Saratoga. Special moment. Tricky Escape wins the Weah. We still got another race to come. We're 25 minutes away from our final race of the afternoon on this Sunday here at Saratoga Springs. What a beautiful setting for horse racing. Was scheduled for going 2 turns on the turf. We're now going 7 furlongs, 1 turn on the main track. In Ayers Rock, first-time starter for trainer Todd Pletcher on the outside. Main track only entrant, the one to beat on the board at 5-2 with John Velasquez. Have a little time. We're going to take a look back at a sensational Saturday of action elsewhere around the country. Some of that involved one of our colleagues that we'll get to in a moment. Of course, it was Arlington Million Day out in the Chicago area on Saturday. We'll get to that in a moment. The lore, of course, how appropriate was this for the man who trained the back-to-back winner of the Breeders' Cup Mile to get the victory here, Shug McGahee.
And that's him. He's going to be finishing on the outside with the white face there, just going to the lead, wondering if he's going to get there or not. He's going to get a little chase at the end from the inside, the one horse. Maybe didn't get the best of trips on the one, trying to get to the wires to kind of straighten him out a little bit. But Inspector Lindley, who had to come around everybody, deserved the win.
Projected, not enough punch late. Inspector Lindley for Shug McGahee, who again campaigned lore to those back-to-back wins at the Breeders' Cup Mile. Gets the job done in the lore. As for the Arlington Million, Robert Bruce getting the job done for Chad Brown.
Yeah, Robert Bruce had been very unlucky in our Manhattan, really buried in traffic the entire stretch. One of a number of horses that had difficulty in that race, but much different at Arlington where he was outside and in the clear, Paul.
Well, listen, he took the overland route. You cannot take this win from him at all. Every horse, there was a lot of bunching, I get it. But when you're 7-8 deep in a grade 1 like the Arlington Million and you're circling horses, it's a pretty darn good race.
Yeah, this was a nice effort. And Almanar, the second place finisher, also trained by Chad Brown, who trained the winner of this race, Robert Bruce. He ran extremely well.
Yeah,
and both these horses have been running at Belmont. Second place finisher Almanar actually had beaten Ticonderoga, who we saw win earlier. Nice performance. They were much the best.
Well, Chad Brown ran 1-2 in the Arlington Million and ran 1-2-3 in the Beverly D. And it's starting to be a real fun battle and rivalry between Sister Charlie and 4-Star Crook.
It is, and they're top-notch horses. We saw that in Belmont weekend when they ran in New York. They just brought their game to Chicago and showed who's boss.
4-Star Crook, of course, got the better of Sister Charlie in the New York on Belmont Stakes weekend, as Tom mentioned in here. But this time, Sister Charlie just too good. Now, back-to-back Grade 1 wins with the Diana opening weekend here at Saratoga and the Beverly D. Carrick, what an upset in the Secretariat, Maggie Wolfendale.
Thank you, Greg. It was quite a treat, despite not being out in Chicago, to stand right behind me and watch it on the TV there, and accompanied by my main man, Harry Rice, as well. But Carrick, you know, Johnny V rode him last time out in the Kent, and he didn't realize how kind of tough he can be and how you need a little bit of cover, but you also need to keep him kind of away from horses. And as soon as those gates sprung yesterday, it was as if Johnny had ridden him 100 times. He just rode him perfectly in the way that he needs to be ridden, and sat behind that somewhat quick pace and then just drew along, analyzed it, and got the better of him. I mean, going a mile and a quarter, that's probably his trip. Just got word, my husband tweeting that Carrick is touchdown at Albany, and he will be back in the barn soon. So I think after the show, guys, I'm gonna be running back, giving Carrick lots of peppermints and love, because second Grade 1 winner, and the feeling never gets old.
Congratulations. What an incredible, incredible moment at 38-1 to win a Grade 1. And, of course, what Chad Brown had done all afternoon long, that happened earlier, of course, in the card. But Analyze It, tremendous horse on turf. This is a huge victory.
Huge victory. Analyze It second again. That's got to be getting a little tiresome for the Chad Brown barn. I think the whisper is they might try blinkers to keep him a little more focused.
Yeah, that, of course, a horse that we've seen on this show a couple of times. Catholic Boy got the better of him after Analyze It had passed him in the stretch each of those two occasions.
Yeah, look, focus is the key, particularly when it comes to the last 16th of a mile in a race.
Well, of course, we still have a very big one coming up here, August the 25th here for 3-year-olds, the Midsummer Derby in the Travers. Going to take a look at some of the runners who are eyeing that race, including Tenfold, who was back at work this morning.
He is indeed, and that's him on the outside, I believe, going by the looks of this. So Tenfold, if you remember, in the Jim Dandy, late in the race, he made that awkward move right at the very end, almost cost him the race. He's got that in him. Watch him do it here on the gallop out. There he goes. Got to pay attention with Tenfold.
Wow, so they have not corrected those issues with him. That could be a concern here. Of course, mile and a quarter, the distance of the Travers. Meanwhile, Hofburg for Hall of Fame trainer Bill Mott. He looked very impressive in the Curlin. It was a field he was supposed to handle, and he did his job.
He did his job. In this work, you know, I think it's important that we say that we're looking at one day in a horse's career, because Hofburg on this particular morning, he's got plenty of time to be better than what is today. He's not very focused, and he needs a lot of encouragement to keep up with his stablemate. And that goes on throughout this work. Hofburg is constantly trying to catch up. Maybe a little bit of rider error, because I think the rider on Hofburg on the outside was confident he was going to catch his stablemate and didn't encourage him all that much down the lane. Perhaps he should have, because he's going to get outworked here.
How much game plan goes into just a work that you see every day in the morning?
Well, not only the game plan of how far to work, but who you're working with, because you don't want to work a speedball with a route horse. You want to try to match up horses in their styles as much as anything else.
The good one he's working with as well, a late who's being pointed to the personal ensign, your winner of the Dell Cap off the bench as well. Here's Bill Mott on Hofburg.
They both went very well. Hofburg followed late off from the pole. Hofburg produced probably a little faster time than he late, because he made up the ground and finished up beside her. But we're hopeful that in the Travers that he's a little more mature, maybe he can stay a little bit closer to the pace. He did in the Curlin Stakes You know, it's not always necessary, I guess, but just depending on if you wind up in one of the races where you wind up getting a real slow pace, you know, it's nice to know that they can lay a little closer.
So some very impressive runners, of course, coming up for the Travers, but I don't think anyone that said, obviously Good Magic was ultra impressive, winning the Haskell, but a filly now tackling the boys, feeling that they are superior at a mile and a quarter in Wonder Gadot.
Why not? I mean, I think the 3-year-old division is wide open for her to have any chance to pass Monomoy Girl as the champion 3-year-old filly. She has to beat the boys, and then she has to take on Monomoy Girl and beat her.
They're going to go for it. Mark Cassie, Gary Barber and company with the filly lining up against the boys August 25th in the Travers. We'll set up the nightcap next.
His record-breaking accomplishments on the racetrack paved his way here to the Stall of Legends. Now retired to stud, we welcome the dawning of a new era as this esteemed champion hopes to stake his claim to immortality. His blazing speed and striking good looks have been passed down to his remarkable first foals. Foals that will carry the flag of their famous father and one day hope to break records of their own. Medication-free and undefeated in sprint competition. Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
I am Joel Rosario. I am a jockey. Growing up in the Dominican Republic, since I was a little kid, I don't know much, before about horse racing. First one is when I started, when I was an apprentice. I have a record of more than a professional jock. Winning my first race, I started winning right away a lot of races, and I was leading right after that, like four years in the Dominican Republic. It was hard, in the beginning for a little bit. So I came here, nobody knew who I was, and came here over here, and then, a lot of people, they don't know they have a horse racing in the Dominican Republic. I remember he was one of the favorite. I know the horses have before that, I know the horses have a good chance to probably to win the race, but you never know until you go and run and try.
Gates fly. They're racing in the Dubai World Cup. The Animal Kingdom out wide.
That was a very cool experience for me.
Animal Kingdom leads. Animal Kingdom 3 lengths in front of Red Cadeau, and Animal Kingdom wins the Dubai World Cup in a US-Australia combination.
Coming from Dubai, like it was like a month after that. Then I remember I was doing very well in Keeneland. I win the meet, and then I went to the Derby where the horse who has the chance to win the race too.
Orb is coming with giant strides in the center of the track.
It was a very special moment.
Down to the wire. Orb has won the Kentucky Derby.
I went in the Dubai World Cup and winning the Kentucky Derby. After that, in less than 2 months, just amazing feeling, and just everything changed, you know what I mean? And then just my kid to see, oh, my daddy win the Kentucky Derby, very emotional, you know. Dominican Republic, everybody want to play baseball. I think after winning the Kentucky Derby, a lot of people know more about horse racing. You know, even the president of the Dominican Republic congratulated me, you know, like I'm a jockey, so I want to the people know, you know, about the horse racing too, and then how it is, and you know, it's a great sport. And I was the first Dominican jockey to win the Kentucky Derby, so it was even more special for me.
How about that? Kentucky Derby and a Dubai World Cup in the span of a couple of months as the jockeys make their way, including Joel Rosario, in those green and pink silks. He'll be riding Sipican Harbor the 9 in here for Gary Contessa. Getting close to post here, 12 minutes away. It's time for a Paddock Report. It's brought to you by Hillendale Farm, now standing Curlin for $150,000.
And Greg, 5 runners going postward here as we see 3 with experience, 2 without. And I'll take a look at those 2 first-time starters. Number 4 is Princessa Carolina for trainer Ken McPeak. Now, she has a decent pedigree, that's for sure. A daughter of Tappet out of a dam who is a multiple graded stakes winner on both dirt and turf. But she has yet to throw anything of worthiness. And looking at her here, I like her, but she also looks a little bit more turf to me. And 2, she's kind of like a big, raw, somewhat backwards filly that when she gets a little more age on her, she might be better here. I don't really know if first time out's going to be ideal. You also see her wearing that breastplate because she is kind of built awkwardly. Higher withers, yet built downhill. So you can see where the saddle might slip forward or back on her as well. Now, the one with the really nice pedigree and proven progeny is number 11, Ayers Rock for Todd Pletcher, daughter of More Than Ready, El Padrino, Verrazano, La Madrina, very good dirt distance horses, and she looks like that, though there actually some could handle sprint distances, obviously, but she looks like one that would, more ground would be best. But so she shows up here and she'll go the 7/8, which is probably ideal, just could look maybe a touch more fit overall. I like her, but I feel as though, guys, that the horses that have experience are at a little bit more of an advantageous spot here.
All right, so we'll see what plays out here in this finale coming up. Again, the main track only entrant, Ayers Rock for trainer Todd Pletcher, the More Than Ready filly, with John Velasquez favored here to close things out.
I'm actually surprised that Ayers Rock is not a more solid favorite in this race. Entered for the dirt. Everybody else is entered for the turf. Very well bred. I really thought the action would show more there. It suggests to me that maybe the workouts are good, not great. The horse that has my attention, how about this 4-horse of Kenny McPeak's, Princessa Carolina? Kenny doesn't win very often with first-time starters. Bet down to 3-1, and this is out of a multiple grade 6 winner on the dirt. The mom is. So there's some dirt in this pedigree for the 4-horse.
3-1 on the board. That's your second choice. As we get a look at the field coming up here, we'll kick things off at our post parade with Girl at War. Florent Giroux rides for Marcassi.
I ran first time on the dirt in an off-the-turf race at Gulfstream Park and didn't run that well, but in this field, perhaps experience will help.
Princessa Carolina for Kenny McPeak, who Tom was just talking about. Filly by Tappet with Ricardo Santana Jr.
Yeah, the mare he was talking about earned a cool $2 million, and she gets that gray from the bottom side or the top side, pure prize, but probably from her daddy Tappet.
Well, the 8 Dizzy just ran behind a horse who ran second in the Adirondack yesterday, trained by Rudy Rodriguez. I Rad Ortiz Jr. aboard.
If the firster on the outside or either firster can't run, she may be the horse to beat.
Yeah, Virginia Eloise was making up a ton of ground late in the Adirondack to run second. Sipacan Harbor, the 9, trained by Gary Contessa with Joel Rosario.
This is the horse to beat off paper if you're not including the 11. An even race, had a tiny bit of traffic, not a ton, and should improve.
And the main track only entrant, our favorite in here, Airs Rock for trainer Todd Pletcher.
I agree with Tom Amos. Given this horse's pedigree and the field he is meeting as an MTO for Todd Pletcher, he's supposed to be closer to 2 to 5 than 2 to 1. I say right now he's very chilly on the board.
So that's your group here for this finale here on this Sunday afternoon at Saratoga. We'll see how it plays out here. Coming up, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with more Saratoga Live next.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb was the leading freshman sales sire of weanlings, yearlings, and 2-year-olds. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including stakes winners Autumn Warrior and Orvolution, stakes performer Scrapper, and TDN Rising Star Explorer. In the sales ring, his progeny continue to sell well beyond his stud fee, including the $1 million co-sale topper at Saratoga. Classic winner, classic pedigree, Orb, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on Saratoga Live. Beautiful look here at this racetrack in the early morning hours. We got our finale coming up here in just a few moments, approaching the 4-minute mark to post. Here in race 10 at the summer place to be here at Saratoga Springs. Let's head downstairs to Andy and Paul.
So to add to what we were saying, and really to what Tom Amos was saying as well, you look at this field, they're off the turfers, and we will talk about some other horses, but this is supposed to be ready-made for Todd Pletcher. The Todd Pletcher we're seeing in 2018 in Saratoga with 2-year-olds, Paul, it is just not the Todd Pletcher we're used to seeing. These horses aren't breaking.
Yeah,
There's good reports on them. They're not hitting the board. It's almost shocking.
It is a little bit shocking. It really is, because he's been so dominant. And let's not forget, this race was a mile and 16 on the turf. 7 furlongs now. So the break is going to be key in here. But like, we all agree what Tom says, because we thought that, this horse would break a little bit better. I mean, or be a heavier favorite than he is now. That's the worry.
But here's the thing. This is his full brother, Verrazano. Yes. Now, just because they're full brothers doesn't mean that they're the same horse. But as Maggie pointed out, it's El Padrino, it's La Madrina. There have been numerous foals from this dam that have been extremely good.
Okay, I get that. But what's the negative part? This horse with this kind of pedigree, what Tom just said, why are you in a main track only race? Wouldn't you think you just go into a straight maiden when you have that kind of pedigree?
That's a valid question. I can't answer, but maybe Pletcher's thinking, I've got other horse for other races.
Okay,
the Philly race are on Sunday, and he's already taking. Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because there was a Philly maiden race earlier today, so maybe he decided to take a shot, and maybe that's an indication that he thought she's not that good, but maybe she's good enough to beat off the turfers. I think that's a very valid point. Let's talk about the 4 for a second, or we can talk about the people at the rail, and we always get a great crowd here at the rail. The 4, Princess Caroline. Princess Caroline, the damn pure clan. I mean, she was second in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare, the distaff and the turf. She's won $1.6 million. She was good in the turf, but she was good in the dirt too.
No, she was, and she's got, like we always say, like she's got that pedigree, can go both ways. Pure prize, and then tap it on the top side. She probably wanted the mile and the 16th, but I mean, you never know. The 7 furlongs might help her.
But here's what worries me about her: is good at a racehorse she was. As a broodmare, horses have not been very good. So she has not been a good producer, unlike the dam of the 11. Now, a lot of money for the number 9, Sippican Harbor, and maybe this horse will win. But I always feel like an off-turf race, these horses are the worst kind of bet. Getting bet off a turf figure, and the horse had a little bit of trouble in that race, didn't run badly, but it was just sort of a inside effort and not that good. And people were betting this horse because she theoretically ran well in the turf. Why would you think she's going to run well in the dirt?
Yeah, here's my thing with her. My worry about her now is the 7 furlongs. I picked her. I was 9-11 in here in a mile 16th. When you're going to 7 furlongs, Gary Contessa put her on the turf first time out because she's not very fast. He even put a 3 furlong drill into her after her last race because she was way behind, not way behind, but on a pace that was like 114, 115. Now you're looking at a horse called like Dizzy, is probably 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 lengths faster than the 9 early. The 9's going to have to play catch up in this race.
It is hard to imagine that the 9 is going to be particularly close to the pace. I can't disagree with that. It's a puzzle, guys. But you know what's interesting? Ayers Rock still isn't taking money. She's not even drifting down at this point. To me, that is such a negative.
Yeah, not even favored anymore, as Andy mentioned. The 9 now, Sippican Harbor favored, but obviously experience means something.
Yeah, look, we talk about it all the time. People are probably getting tired of hearing me say it, but it's something you have to put into your handicapping. The start from first to second, the learning experience of that first start, the most improvement you'll see in a thoroughbred is going to be from that first to second start. So advantage to horses that have had a race as opposed to horses that haven't. And if you want to talk about post position, the toughest post positions for a first-time starter to break from are all the way on the inside where they're going to get crowded right out of the gate. They've never experienced that, and many will back out in that situation, or on the extreme outside, as is our favorite, Ayers Rock, the 11, because, again, they haven't practiced with a group of horses this big before, and their tendency is to break away from them and shy away from them and get away from them, and that's a cost at the break. You're not breaking straight.
You see some works as well from Ayers Rock initially on the turf. What does that tell you about what Todd Pletcher had thought of with this filly?
Well, I can't get in the mind of Todd Pletcher, but I can tell you if I'm doing that with one of my horses, it's because I'm searching. I haven't seen the works I want yet, and I'm looking to see what I can change to get what I think that horse should be giving me in the workouts.
So we'll see what happens here. Outside post for Ayers Rock, no longer favored. The main track only entrant for a barn that is so lethal year in, year out, especially with 2-year-olds here at this meet at Saratoga. Right now, it's the 9 Sippican Harbor, has that race under her belt, but it came going a mile and a 16th on turf. It did come at this meet for Gary Contessa, as we're looking at the 2 here. Girl of War, she too, with a race under her belt. And she was in a race that was taken off the turf at Gulfstream for trainer Mark Cassidy. We're talking about him. He'll be sending Wonder Gadot here to the Travers coming up August 25th. This horse ran 3rd in a 7-horse field in her debut. We'll see how she fares with that race under her belt. That too came at Gulfstream in Florida. Can Ayers Rock, the main track only entered, get it done? Well, Sippican Harbor, the 9, clicks down another notch, down to 9-5 favoritism. Larry Colmus, the voice of New York Racing, will take us home here with this nightcap on this Sunday afternoon here from Saratoga.
And here comes Ayers Rock up to the outside stall to complete the line. Steps forward. Goes in. They're all in line. They're off. An even start and a good one for Ayers Rock and Sippican Harbor, who both came out running with Dizzy, Princessa Carolina, and on the inside comes Girl at War. Up the backstretch they go, and it's Sippican Harbor. Ayers Rock on the outside and down toward the rail, Girl at War. Now these 3 right together. Princessa Carolina, 2 lengths off of them. Dizzy is at the back of the field, 6 from the top. 22.92 that opening quarter for Sippican Harbor, who leads by a length. Ayers Rock on the outside is running in second. Girl at War keeps the rail third, going by the half-mile pole, just a length and a half off the lead. It's 2.5 more to Princessa Carolina, and Dizzy still last of the 5. Around the far turn, Sipacan Harbor opens up 2, runs a half mile in 46.12 seconds. On the outside, Ayers Rock is second. Girl at War comes under a ride, and then comes Princessa Carolina and Dizzy, who's getting a very wide trip. Meanwhile, Sipacan Harbor's opened up 4 as they come to the top of the stretch. Joel Rosario and Sipacan Harbor coming down to the 8th pole with a daylight lead. On the far outside, Dizzy is moving up alongside of Girl at War to battle for second. And then comes Ayers Rock, who's back running in 4th. It's all over here. It's all Sipacan Harbor. Sipacan Harbor is geared down under the wire. She's going to win by maybe 20 lengths. Just dominated this field. Girl at War was second, and then came Dizzy, followed by Ayers Rock in 1:23.55.
Wow, did the public get this one right? Sipacan Harbor, daughter of Claiborne stallion Orb, wins second time out in her dirt debut.
Yeah, clean break for everybody. Pace set up correctly, about what you thought. Look, this isn't a horse beating a bunch of horses that wanted to run in the grass. This is a horse that is saying, I am very good in my own right. Sipacan Harbor is a horse to watch for the future. This is a big race.
I can't disagree with anything that Todd's saying. I mean, I know it's an off-the-turf field, but as Larry Coleman said, she won by almost 20 lengths in here. I don't know what more you could want. Gary Contessa, knowing him, he's circling the spin away on his calendar.
Well, listen, we talked about the bullet drill, Greg, like coming in, and obviously she's taken to the dirt a lot more, and she has that pedigree. Listen, Orb won the Kentucky Derby, deputy minister, is dirt on dirt, and Gary Contessa wore his best white suit. You gotta love it.
How about that? Decked out. He's walking with a little flair there, isn't he?
As he should. As he should.
Gary Contessa, he's got a nice filly, and sometimes you find out things by accident. This race was supposed to be on the turf, taken off, and I'm not sure she's going to be going back to the grass anytime soon.
No, and not only that, we talk a lot about confidence with horses, young horses in particular. Sipacan Harbor today, her confidence level soared, and that's going to make her tough next time.
9-2-8-11 finish. Sipacan Harbor, at this point, it was lights out. She was rolling to victory. Daughter of Orb getting it done in a big way to close out this card. Let's go to Gabby Gaudet.
Well, Greg here with winning trainer Gary Contessa. And Gary, you decided to leave Sipacan Harbor on the dirt today. Given her debut performance and today's performance, what surface do you think she's better on?
You know, I think she's great on both. I think it's all about the distance with her. She wants to go longer. And at this time of year, you're either going to run 7 furlongs or you're going to run long on the turf. So I think she's good on both. And I might just go to Kentucky Downs after this and try that big race down there.
Interesting. I mean, she won this pretty impressively. Talk a little bit about that, because her ears were pricked and she looked like she was floating over the surface.
She trains like that in the morning. Everything she does so easy, and she finishes with enthusiasm every work. So I was really confident in her. Matter of fact, I promised Joe Rosario my tie, and I really like this tie. I hate to give it to him.
It's a very nice tie.
Yeah.
Do you find that with these Orbs and the Orb progenies that they kind of like that added distance, especially in their 2-year-old season?
No doubt about it. This filly wants to go in 1 1/8, and she's just barely 2. So she really has a big future. Big future.
It definitely looked as though that is the case here. Congratulations, Gary.
Thank you very much.
All right, Joel Rosario might have a new tie to his collection after today.
Sharp-dressed man, nice little filly right here, and it sounds like turf actually is going to be in her immediate future coming up. Tie comes off. How about that? Little souvenir for Joel Rosario. Holds it to the sky in victory. Sipacan Harbor, daughter of Orb, rolling to victory impressively here to close things out on this Sunday at Saratoga. We'll be right back.
New York breds perform? They win in world-class company. From Grade 1 races in Dubai, where New York-sired, New York-bred Mind Your Biscuits won the Golden Shaheen for a second time, to Belmont, adding to his status as the richest New York bred with a close second in the Met Mile. The Belmont Festival saw 2 more New York breds become millionaires. 4-star Crook in the New York Stakes and world record-setter Disco Partner with a repeat victory in the Jaipur. New York breds, get with the program.
They're off. Bet the horses anywhere, anytime with Naira Bets.
Rushes out of there to take the lead.
It's easy on your computer or Naira Bets app. Earn valuable reward points on bets. Play in our exclusive promotions and earn cash rebates. Sign up now. Bet $200 and get $200. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. NairaBets.com.
Back on Saratoga Live, winning trainer Gary Contessa loosen up that tie and get your picture taken in the winner's circle here as he wins the nightcap impressively. Sippacan Harbor just dusts this field. Daughter of Claiborne sire, Orb won the Kentucky Derby, Florida Derby, the #1 freshman sales sire, had a $1.25 million session topper at the 2017 OBS March sale. First crop runners included Orvolution and undefeated Autumn Warrior as well. And saw a few of his runners look so impressive here last summer on the turf. And now this one looking very strong in a race taken off the turf in her dirt debut, Sippacan Harbor. And Gary Contessa talked about what may be next for her. And he talked about Kentucky Downs, the Exacta Systems juvenile fillies. 1 mile on the turf with a purse of $400,000. Looks like it could be next.
Why he was thinking turf, but then you come with that purse, and the purses are quite good there.
Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Sippacan Harbor wins at 9-5. Girl at War, Dizzy in the Pletcher filly. Main track only entrant does not hit the board here.
I think the tote board told. You know, I really do in that particular race, and you know, the guys caught on to that very quickly. We all talked about it, and it was a play against.
Now our bets late pick 5, you see there, paying $279. We take a look at it. Had some compact fields here with the races being taken off the turf. Considering these numbers, it's still very good. Nothing beyond $9.70, your biggest price in the sequence.
No, I mean, that is indeed. I mean, you're looking at a lot of heavy favorites and a lot of possible singles.
Saratoga Showdown, free online contest. Here are the results, and we had a 4-way tie at the top. So they're going to split some Naira Bets points. Well done. You can get involved in this contest each and every day. We're on the air by going to Naira.com/showdown, putting in your selections. It's a different contest every day, and you're not risking any of your own money. Every day, of course, our show brought to you in part by this stud. One of the best sprinters we have seen in a long, long time. Run happy, there he is in legendary stall #1 at Claiborne Farm in Paris, Kentucky. Undefeated when he was sprinting during the course of his career and doing it all while running without the addition of Lasix medication. Won the King's Bishop here at Saratoga. He'd go on to win the Breeders' Cup Sprint at Keeneland in track record time. So he'll be coming, his offspring, to a racetrack near you very, very soon in the spring and summer of 2020. So Sunday in the books here at Saratoga. And You know, we had a compact field in that Saratoga special, but we saw a horse in Call Paul came here from Delaware, Tom. Her trainer, Jason Service, got bumped around a little bit in the stretch by tight 10, but he looked very good in winning.
He looked very good in winning, and so did his trainer, Jason Service. They made a great team today, and he was a horse that I think, as was said by the trainer after the race, will improve the more distance.
Of course, the hopeful still to come. That will be at 7 furlongs in that final weekend of the meet here at Saratoga, and we'll see if Call Paul will go onward to that race. In the Weah, how about Lynn Ashby and Tricky Escape and Chris DiCarlo?
That's an awesome
scooting away from this field for victory for owner John Marshall. An impressive win there. And Call Paul in the Saratoga special. We will see you on Monday. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Saratoga Live.